All right, and like that, we are back. Well, I'm back. It's another XQ. This week we are doing Jubilee's the debate show that they did with Patrick Bet-David. I think it was called One Capitalist versus 20 Anti-Capitalists. We're gonna hop into it. I don't want to filibuster too much at the beginning. If you're familiar with Patrick Bet-David, you might know that he is he's a staunch conservative / Republican. He runs Valuetainment, in which there's a bunch of interesting commentary and conversation that tends to come out of that space. He's actually interviewed quite a bit of notable people, and if I'm not mistaken, he's rich, but he's made his money through some version of an investment in insurance. Some people might call it a pyramid scheme. Some people might say that it, I don't know. I've heard a bunch of different versions of things. They might get into that on here as well, but they're debating capitalism and its merits in general. I haven't watched it. If you've watched it, release a couple Easter eggs, but if not, we're gonna watch it together and just see who do we think wins round by round, conversation by conversation. I think he does 4 claims. How I look at these, generally speaking, is I typically just go round and round and try to be as objective inside the debate as possible to just see who wins the conversation, in the sense of being able to articulate their point and be able to cogently rebuttal what the other person is saying. And of course, facts do matter. So I'm gonna kind of go in void of my exact opinion on some of these and just say through the conversation who wins inside that back and forth. With that said, I guess it's time to push play. I think it's did about 1 million the first day, so it's been heavily watched. Chat, tap into it. I'm gonna drop the call-in link as soon as I push play. If you want to watch this with me, talk through this with me, feel free to call in. I think the call-in link is in the chat, not the chat, in the description right now as well. With no further ado, let's get to it.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David. This is the United States of America.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see Specialist?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not?
No.
When you're offering people here jobs, right? You're saying that they would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to pay you money to be part of your
claims
company.
Of defaming. Be very careful defaming when you don't know the facts. I'm Patrick Bet-David. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of PBD Podcast. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 anti-capitalists. My first claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
Which, generally speaking, this is like the classic capitalism claim right here. If you are a capitalist, this is pretty much what you hang a lot of your belief and thought in capitalism, is kind of the initiative or the incentive of innovation, and capitalism driving innovation. Push play.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm Valuetained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you really?
Yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism.
Okay.
Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of scarcity, and people's ability to get what is necessary pushes them to work harder. I disagree with that. I'd say that some of our hardest workers are single moms working 3 to 4 jobs, and the resources that they're able to acquire compared to those that utilize their workers in order to build profit for their own companies is not equivocal.
Right. And that's he's going a bit of like the exploitation argument, where generally speaking, the people at the top aren't the hardest workers. A lot of times they aren't the smartest, the brightest, and have even worked the hardest to get into those positions. And more times than not, the exploited class ends up being the ones who work the hardest, and they get trapped in this whole idea of the rat race and it doesn't explicitly incentivize innovation when you're just working really, really hard to make ends meet, and then you're barely doing that, and then maybe you have like the 2 to 3 job thing, as he's explaining, where it's not specifically rewarded. There you go. Hard work isn't explicitly rewarded. It's more about like who can be at the top of the pyramid of exploitation.
So how would you do it? How would you change it?
Yeah, so I think that humans inherently want to be meaningful. They want to contribute to their communities. They want to contribute to society. When you look at depression rates, oftentimes it's people who aren't able to do anything besides laying in their bed and basically barely taking care of themselves. So I think that it's just a human intrinsic value to want to bring value to their community or grander society.
Okay,
so I don't think that it has to be through scarcity alone that scares people into working, if that makes sense.
I worked for scarcity. I think there's levels to it. You have the survival folks who work for survival to pay their bills. Some work for status, some work for freedom, and some work for legacy. The folks that work 3 or 5 jobs, you know, to pay their bills and do what they're doing, if the incentive wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. Some of the guys that build a bigger business that solve a lot of problems.
The incentive there is.
Hold on, let's rewind that, because he might have threw the trick bag at him.
To pay their bills. Some work for status, some work for freedom, and some work for legacy. The folks that work 3 or 5 jobs, you know, to pay their bills and do what they're doing, if the incentive wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. Some of the guys that build a big.
But that, like, if the incentive of survival wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. But yeah, all right, we'll keep
the business. That's a lot of
the
problems.
incentive there is either I die or I work.
Yeah,
that's not really a system that rewards merit. That's a system that pushes people into insecure positions.
I think we got a call in. Let's see if this is the birthday boy. What's going on?
What's happening? What's happening? You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Unc is in the building. He just turned 35 today. He's celebrating. What's going on, Unc?
Ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Sitting back here, just relaxing on the patio, just listening. I saw you had a show going on. I said, let me jump in this. You know, I ain't did too much today. You know, you get older, you just relax. I watched a couple of movies, sat back and, you know, swallowed a couple down, you know, do a couple back, and now I'm chilling with you.
dig it. All right, so nonetheless, with that said, I'm gonna just push play and we can talk through it as the conversation comes up.
Not necessarily. In many cases, we put ourselves in situations as well. But when we're talking
are you saying that it's an individual failure for these single mothers that are working 3 to 4 jobs?
For some of them, it is.
Interesting.
For some of them, it is.
I'm glad you bite that bullet, because most people are not going to say that it's a moral failure of people that are born into poverty that continue to live out cyclical poverty.
For somebody like me, I came from the single mother system. My mother was a single mother. You know, we had, you know, my parents got a divorce twice. They married each other. They divorced. They remarried each other, divorced again. I came up, we didn't have a lot of choices. I joined the Army. I got at that system, kind of wanted to see what I was going to do for myself. Do I stay in the Army? Do I get out of the Army? I started working in sales. And then the incentive of working harder, eventually I built a good life for myself.
Again, you're totally dismissing the hard work that a lot of these people are putting into for just basic survival. I'd say that mechanics and plumbers and most people working blue collar jobs that are probably watching this video are working tirelessly day after.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's the fallacy of hard work where, in my opinion, Unc, I'll let you get your opinion on this. I think that people that work the hardest don't get paid the most.
We don't.
More times than not, people that work, honestly, the easier positions and spots in jobs get paid a lot more under the guise of quote unquote management or I think that just generally speaking, labor is exploited way more, and people that get paid more, generally speaking, outside of like there's one or two, like there's a couple jobs that you could be like, they work really, really hard and they get compensated really good for, but I think it's more rare than it is like an actual fact.
Yeah, it's basically that. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You're talking about salary versus hourly. You know what I'm saying? And a salary employee will yell, I'm always on the clock. I don't have certain hours. I have to work. I'm here doing this or that, whatever. But you'll see sometimes a person that's on salary, they might come to work 3 hours late. They
Oh,
come to work 3 hours late, and they still get their same salary or whatever. You come 3 hours late, you docked for it. You know what I'm saying? So that
mm-hmm.
that right there, and all they and when they come in here, they ain't doing nothing no more than they ever do. They just overseers
Mm-hmm.
basically. And them being overseers, you know what I'm saying? If to be honest with you, they could come in 3 hours late every day and you still gonna do your job the way you doing your job, hard as you working, and they gonna still make their money. And when they have to do them 12 hours, this or whatever, of course you can do 12, 15 hours. Sometimes you have to do a 16-hour shift. Yeah, but you haven't worked that many hours to, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you put them hours in like that. But you know, it's
You know,
always that's
it's really easy to do a 12-hour shift when you ain't doing nothing.
yes, exactly.
Compared to like
If you
actually moving something or working with machinery or with your hands or something, like 12 hours is gonna wear on you. When you just sitting
yes,
down, in the words of Rail, pushing buttons on the keyboard. To me, I
yeah,
think, and like I would be somebody that falls inside this, like that, the thing that I'm critiquing. Like I would feel like I personally wouldn't compare what I get paid to do as like a harder working than somebody that does a lot of things with their hands or anything like that. And
oh
like the unfortunate way that things is set up is that even though somebody can work way harder than me, I could get paid more than them. And to me, like that is a part of the unfortunate part of some of what they're talking about here.
yeah. The key on it all is you look at, you know what I'm saying, a person that works with their hands like I work with my hands, you know what I'm saying? I
Mm,
when I was in management, I couldn't they made it where, oh, you not supposed to, you shouldn't do this or so and so whatever. I would make it to where some days I just didn't want to be in the office.
mhm.
I went in the office and I would be like, look, I'm gonna do your thing, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna work your because I need to know what was going on. I needed to know what they were doing and exactly what they were doing. And if they were complaining about it, I could tell them, critique, or either help them out and give them some ideas on what they was doing wrong or what
Right.
they could do to help their job out better.
Mhm.
So my upper management would tell me, you know, you need to stay in the office and you need to make sure they doing this or that, whatever. But I can't tell them to do something that I don't know what they're doing.
Mhm.
So I would be like, look, just answer the phones for me. If calls come in, answer the phones and be like, I had to go see a client or so and so, whatever. And when I come back, I could, you know what I'm saying, and I would write it down. You know what I'm saying, what was going on, and I see where I could help you out. And I would put them in the office when I had time and speak to them and then be like, you know what I'm saying, what's going on? Why is this happening or that's happening or whatever? And once that happened, I could, you know what I'm saying, I could tell them, you know, or help them out or tell them, you know what I'm saying, I saw a shortcut you could take this way or do this so and so this way, whatever way, and they can help you out far as you have time to, you know what I'm saying, manage your time a little bit better. But if you don't do it yourself and you don't know it, you just sitting around there, what you are, you're just a word speaker to people. You're not actually you don't know what they're doing. And
Mhm.
that's a lot of times that's what happens. That as far as you being in management, you sitting there and watching people, and a person telling you that this is going on, that's going on, or whatever, and you're there. If you don't know what the person is doing, or you know what I'm saying, you I hate pie graph men. And that would be one thing. The pie graph man that come in and tell you things that the pie graph looks how this could happen or whatever, but you not doing it. It looks good on this, but when it physically is done, how?
Mhm.
Pie graph man always will tell you how you could cut time or cut money on things, but they don't tell you how it's done. And then they expect a person that, because I was, you know, I wasn't at the top of management, but I was lower tier. Now you telling me to cut it out. And how am I telling them something to do? You telling me to tell them to do something, but no one's telling me how they're going to do it. And without me going out doing it, I can't tell them what to do. And
Gotcha.
that's just, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that
Nah, it's a like I said, it's its own interesting balance. I'm gonna push play on the video, see where they take us.
Per day.
I don't
but yet
disagree.
They
I don't
still
disagree.
feel insecure position. I'd say that mechanics and plumbers and most people working blue collar jobs that are probably watching this video are working tirelessly day after day.
I don't
but yet
disagree.
They
I don't
still
disagree.
feel insecure positions to where they don't even know if they're going to be able to afford rent in the next 6 months.
So let me ask
If
you.
most Americans have a $400 to $500 emergency, they can't even afford that with the basic savings that they have. So this is not something that we should celebrate as promises of a system that gives you more if you work harder. We should say that this is something that rewards few. And I'm glad that you're an outlier that's been able to build a lot of success for yourself. I know that you're a multimillionaire. That's fantastic that you have those
When you
resources.
explain
But the thing
outlier,
is that
let me
cannot
ask you this
happen
question,
for everybody in society. It's possible for each individual to do it,
Yeah.
but not everybody can be a
So
millionaire. That's
for
guaranteed.
you, I don't think not everybody can be a billionaire or a millionaire, but I do think people can find ways to use their time to effectively increase their market value. And I don't think many people do that. When I talk to people and they tell me, I've watched this show, I've watched every one of these shows, I've watched every one of these Netflix shows, you can use that time to increase your market value instead of kind of, focus on what's going on with the stories and shows that are out there.
Let's move away from Netflix and TV shows and talk specifically about, do you think that capitalism is a system of merit that rewards people that are of higher merit?
I do.
Okay, so how would you say that this is a meritocracy when we have some people that are born into excessive wealth and some people that are working minimum wage jobs to provide for 3 or 4 kids? How would you say that that's a meritocratic society?
Those are two different things.
They are two different things, very unequal things.
Well, no, not necessarily. The parents get credit for making.
All right, PBD, you got to fight back right now because my guy here is looking. Yeah, I think PBD's used to. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he has a show Valuetainment. But he's used to being able to be the voice that everybody has to stop when he speaks, because he runs there, he writes every check, and it's his program. And right here, in my opinion, with the pushback that he's getting pushed inside a box right now.
Responsible decisions so they can take care of their kids. The parents
so it's not
get
a
credit.
Meritocracy, though. We're building dynasties of wealth.
I didn't come from dynasties of wealth.
I know,
came from
you're an outlier. I get that. I get that individual. But we're talking about systems. Capitalism is a system. It's not an individual testimony.
But it's a system that you get to use in your advantage. It's a system that's produced the best results than any other economical system. There's not an economical system that's produced better results than this, based on the incentive.
History is a march of progress, right? So there are going to be advancements that we make, or there's going to be solutions that we make to previous ailments. I'm not saying that capitalism hasn't brought in better things than systems like feudalism or monarchy, but that does not mean that we're at the end of history. Do you think that capitalism is the final solution, and this is what we're going to last?
I think capitalism is the best economical system because it gives an incentive for you to decide how big of a life you want to build. And by the way, the best way to judge it, let me just say this to you, the best way to judge it is in a very simple way. Take all the countries around the world. There's many different economical systems. What has the longest line of people wanting to get in there? It's America. Why is that? 15 million people came here illegally. Millions came here illegally just the last 4 years.
A lot of that is because of economic scarcity in other countries. Well, one of them, we could talk about one, is American exceptionalism, which is continuing. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm giving it that. What'd you say, Unc?
He got his ass handed to him right there. But the thing is that I can understand from both parties on what they're saying. Like him, he said he came from nothing and made something. And the problem is this right here. It's all about how can I put it? It's about what your moralities are. You know what I'm saying? When you are a person that has certain morals and things of that nature, you won't do certain things. But if you're willing to sacrifice your morals for things, you'll do you'll do other things. And to get any part of wealth, you have to sacrifice morals somewhere in there. There's no such thing as a person that has wealth or that has, there and got there and didn't sacrifice morals. You gonna shit on somebody while you're getting there. And it might hurt. It might be somebody you love or somebody that you really need or this, that, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? To get to where you need to be at, sometimes you gotta leave people behind.
Yeah. And I guess where I want to talk to it if they hear that was, I think what the guy keeps speaking to is the illusion of the American dream. And to me, like, that's kind of like the illusion of capitalism to an extent as well. where what's sold is that, and there is a space where it is possible. And we like outliers, and a lot of times we all know outliers, but we don't realize how many people we know in our life. So you might know one or two outliers, but then when you sit and think about how many people you know, you be like, damn, I might know a couple thousand people though. And then it puts it inside like a better perspective. But like the illusion of the American dream, what Pat is talking about, if you work hard enough and you increase your value and you do all these things, then you can possibly make it and be a millionaire, or you can make it, whatever making it means, you can make it, right? But in my opinion, the reality is that there's only a specific amount of slots available. So if everybody all worked the exact same amount and put in the same amount of effort and worked their ass off, it's still not going to equal to everybody being able to have equal access to resources, because capitalism is not meant to work that way. Like there's always going to be an exploited class, and there's always going to be a managerial class. And
But
like that's just how it's going to exist. And that's where I think the illusion of capitalism and the American dream sells everybody on that you can get rich. But the reality is that 95% of everybody is going to be lower middle class and under.
yeah, but the thing is, one thing that most people don't understand, and this is something that like people be like the American dream or this or that. The American dream isn't always you having the greatest amount of money or you sitting around there doing that. The American dream is you just, you know, it's not even a person that's just they boat is just floating, you know what I'm saying, and they a sail and they don't know what direction they going in. It's what you make and what you do with it. You know, you don't have to have it all or have the most greatest amount of money to have things and do things. People problem out here today is that everybody wants to live like they see everybody else live. You have to live your own life. You build your
Right,
own lane.
that's true. But so I think like you're offering a critique of the American dream, and that I agree with, where generally speaking, and yeah, like so what to me what it sounds like you're saying is that the reality of the American dream is that each individual should be comfortable with what they're able to afford in the life that they live.
Yeah. And you should be able
everybody thinks that they can get rich quick and be the superstar, so they want to try to live the Instagram dream. And to me, like I think that's where it gets caught up in, because the capitalism tells everybody that you're special and that you could be the one to make it out and become a billionaire and have Gucci, Louis, Prada, and
but you know what?
Even though capitalism, the American dream, actually benefits off that idea by exploiting it.
But you know what? You can have. You can have what you want. You can have what you can afford also. And you can do certain things.
Yeah.
You can do certain things, but you can't do so much with what money you have. But you can make the best out of what you have. And you can live a much better life if you look at things that you're doing and things that goes on. Like a lot of people will take, you know what I'm saying, and I I can't do this, I can't do that, but you can. You can. It's all about manipulating what you have. And if you manipulate what you have and turn it into what you want, or you know what I'm saying, just learn how to invest in things, invest in you. People want to do things that right now you can't afford to do. And a lot of people don't want to work hard to get to where they want. You know, they want people to give them things. And nobody's going to give you anything. And what you don't work for, you don't get. It's about, you know, and I understand that, and it's about education, it's about so whatever. And I know it's a lot of people, I'm working this mediocre job, or I'm doing so and so, whatever. Yes, you are. But if you wanted more, you could do more. It's up to you. All
Yeah,
life is up
that's the part
to
that
all of us.
I partially disagree with. I think that you can. I don't think that all. I think it's just a limited amount of slots. In
Yeah,
reality,
it
like
is.
like
It is.
right now you see people that like once the market got flooded with bachelor's degrees, the bachelor degree became devalued, and you can have a bachelor degree and still work it like retail for multiple years. But it's because
No,
of the slots. The slots have like there's only a certain amount of slots that's going to be available for like specific
yeah,
jobs, and right now there's more jobs being cut away to where the slots are becoming lesser and lesser and lesser to where, in my opinion, I just think that the dream of this is gets pushed in the actual reality of it, where I think most people can find a way to live at means, but
yeah,
most people want. And when we said to me, like when we say the American dream, not the American reality, but like the American dream is that I can have it all. I just don't believe that if
no,
everybody,
everybody,
yeah, and that's the only thing that I'm saying.
no, everybody can't have it all. You can't have it all. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality is this right here. Even those that have more than what you have want more than what they have.
Yeah,
So the American dream is there, and you know what I'm saying. It's the to be honest with you, the American dream is what you want. It's the American dream never consists of nobody ever put out a full plan for American dream. The American dream is to do better and to have and be able to do things, they said whatever. But you have to be the person that makes that happen. And sometimes a side hustle comes into play. You know, you get you a side hustle or something else that's going to be a supplement income and everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad to say, but a lot of times side hustles is something that the government don't know nothing about, but it's income coming into you. You know what I'm saying?
I,
And it
I
might,
get it, but I think that it goes to what the guy in the white was speaking about. Like you can
yeah.
end up having 4 or 5 side hustles, and then you look at this
Mhm.
guy that's just sitting in the office sleep all day because he's on salary.
Yep.
That's
No, you're
making
right.
times more, and then it's like, all right, like I'm working way harder than this guy, but he's further along, and that's the only like I said, the only balance that I think is, and like I said, and I'm sure we're gonna continue to get to it because this whole conversation is about capitalism, which,
Yeah.
like I said, like the only balance that I think is that I don't know if working hard is the real American dream,
No,
but
we're working, but
oh,
you look at it. You saying working hard isn't the American dream, but the
working hard,
American, you always hear people say if you work hard, you get. You know, they always tell you you will get out of what you work for. So that's part of, you know what I'm saying.
I just
It's a
I don't believe it.
monopolized. It's a monopolized system. And it's a system that they want to tell you what you can do or this, that, whatever. And no, and we all know that the most people that work hard don't get paid the less money, and they basically the grunts. They're the grunts of the world, but they the
Hmm.
ones that they the foundation of the world. You
Hmm.
know, and that's why it's like, you know what I'm saying, you work and you might even become middle class, and a person might look at you as the, you know what I'm saying, you oh, you got this, you got that. It's somebody, always somebody that think that you have more than somebody all the time. And somebody, no matter what, if you able to take a trip to Miami for the weekend, right? It's a person, but oh, I can't even go. You live in Charlotte, hell, I can't even go to Concord for the weekend. You going to Miami, you know? But it's all about what you do. And you might have planned that trip for 2 years to go to Miami. But you know what I'm saying? You went and you enjoyed yourself. But
Hmm.
it's about what you do with what you have. You have to make the best situation out of what you have sometimes. And no, we're not all gonna come from like he came from nothing and got made successful. That's good. It's good. And he can yell this or that, whatever. But you know, everybody's situation is not gonna be his, and everybody's situation ain't gonna be bad, but you just have to make the best out of the situation you have. And once we learn that, you know, things would be a lot better. But the man with the suit on, he's sitting there and want to tell everybody, oh, I came from this, I went into the military, I so and so and all this. Okay, good. and you did make it good. But like you were saying, that's not where everybody's going to be, and that's not what everybody can do. Everybody isn't meant
But
to be
I think
there.
that everybody, most people that go through the exact same thing that he does or has that exact same story don't get the same results. That's what, to me, that's what makes him an outlier.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So
But
we're kind of like on
as we continue through the conversation,
okay.
How are you? What's your name?
man,
Hi, I'm Alana. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so I think the issue is the framing of incentive here. Incentive doesn't disappear in a socialist or a communist society, it just changes and evolves. So we see in capitalism, the incentive is obviously monetary gain, maybe even collecting capital itself through land ownership. In a communist or a socialist country, you would see incentive would just evolve into, I know it's a vague term, but the common good. You have an incentive to do your chores around your house because you don't want to live in a filthy house, right? That makes sense. It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So you don't think monetary incentive drives people, or you're saying that people should be excited to do their job, whether they're getting incentivized for it or not? That's what you're saying.
People will be incentivized to do.
Give me a case study. Give me a case study of that worked. Give me one case study.
We don't even need to look at case studies. We can just look at charity work.
Well, why don't we actually look at a case study? You got two countries, North Korea, South Korea. One is communism and one is capitalism.
Yes.
North Korea's GDP last year was $23 billion.
Are we judging countries' values based off GDP and not what they value for
freedom of speech? You can't, like, if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now. You wouldn't have a voice. In South Korea, I'm gonna give you stats. In South Korea, their GDP is $1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total in the entire
70
country.
times better
you think
than
that's
North
something
Korea.
if you are employed by the top 5 countries, you are practically unemployed in these countries.
Do you like to be free?
I'm not going to be free in a country like South Korea where I'm only employed in 5 companies
to
or
call
no
somebody
job.
out like me? Do you like to be free where you can have a strong opinion? Do you like to be free to have your
I like to be free, but that's why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you are.
That is why I'm anti-capitalist, because capitalism removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend the money,
communist country.
Would you give up your citizenship to go to that country? Whichever communist country you want to go to. Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to. Choose any one of them. I'll give you one-way ticket, and I'll fund it for you if you want to. Thank you. Yes.
I'll give Pat.
Yeah, he spoke on that.
You said what?
I said he spoke on that one. You know what I'm saying? He kind of made sense because people want to say they gonna do things or they want things, but they don't want it because reality comes into play with everything. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be that person that to do that. You know what I'm saying? You don't wanna say, oh, I would want to do this or I want to do that, but when it come down to it, nobody wants to go to a communist country. No one ever. I don't know anyone that would want to go there. You know what I'm saying? And you wouldn't want to sit in everybody because the whole key to everything, what people don't realize is that it sounds bad, but the thing that makes a person work harder is an incentive. And one of the key incentives to working hard is getting more or working more hours and things of that nature. You work harder or you work more hours for money because you work to get paid. And if you could do the same work and lollygag, as I heard you say before, if a joker is on your job with you and not doing the same thing and y'all gonna get a bonus and he did nothing, but y'all was on a team, you would out him. Or he ain't did nothing. That's what you said. I remember having that conversation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. only word that I would change in there is that I think that people want to they want to work. They want to work harder and get paid for it. In comparison,
Yeah.
like a lot of the ideas that I forget how you framed it, but I think you said work more hours for the money. Where I think that's the part that ends up being a little like the tricky part. I do agree with like everything that you said, the fact that people are incentivized to work harder if you get paid more and rewarded for it. To me, my only issue is that I think that right now that's not how it's set up for most situations where you can work really hard, but you don't get paid.
No, you don't. You don't. And that's the problem is that one of the key problems is that it's a lack of money for those that work hard, and it's a fulfillment for people that oversee. The overseers always make more money, and that's what CEOs and people that are in these companies that yeah, they have to do these business deals, but it plays a part like this right here. Most of the time, most of your money is getting done and handled, and most of the money is getting handled on golf courses or at strip clubs. You know what I'm saying? Where they do these meetings at, where they meet these people and things of this nature. Now it's always and guess what's going on with that? Drinks. So you telling me that you can make a corporation's money over getting drunk or drinking. But if I have a drink while I'm on lunch break at the same point,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get outed or lose my job. But you determines the whole corporation's outcome over some drinks. But I can't do it.
No,
But
I get what you're saying for sure.
and that's one of the things is that it's always an outburst on people doing things and people saying things. And what happens? It's a standard of I can do, but you can't do. But I can tell you what to do, but you can't tell me that I'm doing wrong, even though I'm doing the same thing that you're doing.
Right. Yeah, nah, I'm gonna
Okay.
push play, but I agree. I get what you're saying for sure. It's the double standard of hierarchy where they allow themselves to do what they condemn you to do.
Yeah.
My name is Hunter. I'm going to be
Hunter,
honest, I've never seen your videos before. Even though there is some real value to free enterprise, the profit motive often creates a perverse incentive and worse outcomes in certain situations. For example, healthcare. How much would you pay for a life-saving treatment for yourself or one of your family members?
How much would I pay for it?
Say you have cancer and you have an 80% survival rate with chemotherapy and less than 10% without it. How much would you pay? Whatever it takes, right?
Sure.
That's a situation of inelastic demand when the amount that you're willing to pay is not based on the value of the service because your life does not have a finite value. In the US, 66.5% of all bankruptcies are because of medical debt. In most other developed nations, that number is way lower, if not zero. And at the same time, the US does not have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. We pay over $13,000 per capita. Meanwhile, Taiwan, which by most metrics has the best healthcare system and a national healthcare service, only pays about $2,500 per capita per year.
So what does that tell you?
That tells us
that's wasted expenditure.
Yes, that is a massively wasted expenditure.
That tells you the government doesn't know how to spend our money.
No,
they keep
in our
raising
case,
taxes, we
we're
keep
spending
more money, and they don't know how to spend the money.
No, most of that money is coming from private insurance. In fact, 77% of the people who went bankrupt from medical debt had insurance and then lost it because they couldn't pay.
So we can address that, the fact that 60-something% of bankruptcies are due to health, which is your right. We've done many content on that piece. I want you to come back to incentive. Address the issue with incentive right now, with capitalism.
The reason why the medical debt is so high in that is because of the profit motive. If people will pay whatever it takes to not die, the profit motive in that case is perverse because healthcare shouldn't be a market in the same way that.
I agree with this. I can see exactly where he's walking us down. Is the idea that in general, like healthcare being capitalistic, like it not being universal, there is a negative profit margin, motive that directly will hurt the people. And Yeah, I think it's a fair point. That's pretty much why he wanted to get off of it, and him bringing it back around to the idea of incentive driving. What is it? Being the engine of capitalism. It also means that it's the engine of exploitation. So
other things might be a market.
So you don't think the motive to have profit to come out with a solution is a good thing for the marketplace, specifically
I think
in the
it
healthcare
depends
side?
on which market you're talking about.
Right.
It's way different. We're talking about video games or cell phones or TV.
right, because healthcare, the incentive structure would be to elongate curing something so that you can make as much profit off of it, as well as being able to charge as much as possible to the consumer to the point where it might put them, as he said, inside debt and bankruptcy in comparison to other countries. This is fair.
These or other goods that aren't as necessary as
You're
healthcare
specific to
treatments.
healthcare.
Yes, I'm talking
Okay.
specifically about
So there-
healthcare
so there's
in
a-
certain other markets
You
where
ever
there's
heard
a
of Home Depot?
natural.
You ever heard of Home Depot?
Yes, I'm aware.
So one of the guys who's the founders of Home Depot, investors of Home Depot, his name
Sure.
is Ken Langone. His father died at 62 years old. Ken Langone.
LTA, you got to talk to me. How have you never paid a hospital bill? Unless, well, this does deal with, like, if you have, is it Medicare or Medicaid? That'll be an angle. But even with like your company's insurances, you're typically going to have a copay on some sort. And if you have, like, I think you've had a kid and all that. Like pregnancy, you end up still coming out of pocket for a lot of different things. You don't let it be like a let's say like a
The only way, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the only way that you don't pay for a medical bill is if you're on Medicaid or Medicare or you're on some type of things of that nature. Because if you don't pay a medical bill, that means that either you're going to put yourself into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
You're going to put yourself into bankruptcy because, you know what I'm saying, you're going to have a bunch of medical bills. You don't have to. You don't have to pay for it if you don't want to, because the doctor has to take care of you, but are you going to get the best of medical care? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we know that if you don't,
you have to pay for it if you don't want to. Say everything you just said one more time.
you don't have to pay for it, because if you go to the doctor, they have to take care of you. That's part of the moral code. Once you get there, they're going to have to do something for you. To, you know what I'm saying? And if you go there and you go and have a baby, they're going to have to deliver that baby because you're at the hospital. It's part of the moral code. You know what I'm saying?
No,
The moral,
do it, but we're talking about paying though. They, like, you still gonna get that bill. It'll mess.
That's what
Your
I'm
credit.
saying.
It's gonna mess up. It's gonna put you into bankruptcy, and that's the part. Go ahead.
That's why I said, unless you don't give a damn about, bankruptcy. But the only way that you don't have medical bills is if you don't have medical bills is you don't go to the doctor, or you don't give a damn, or maybe if you're on some type of government assistance.
Gotcha.
If you're on government assistance,
she called in and she said she's gonna break it down for us. Talk to us, LTO.
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry. It's just, I should elaborate on this. Okay, so when I say, like, I've never paid a hospital bill, I mean, like, I've never paid an ER hospital bill. Like
Maybe.
like when you go to the doctor, like, you have to pay. Like, they don't let you leave the office unless you pay, pretty much nowadays. But like you go to the ER, you know what I mean? They treat you, and then usually they won't bill you till later. And I had to get kind of like an emergency surgery when I was like 19, and then I had kidney stones one time. So, and I had to ride in the ambulance for both of those, and I didn't have insurance, and I never paid it.
That here, that right there is a damn most expensive cab ride you ever gonna have. That's at least $1,000 cab ride, right?
Right. So help us understand though, because like you're saying you did these things. Are you saying you didn't pay because of Medicaid?
No.
Or are you saying that you didn't pay because of?
I didn't have insurance, and I didn't have any money, and I never went like bankrupt.
We paid for it. We paid for it.
Thank you.
Right.
We paid.
I get it, but through
well, hey, I mean, I was.
I'm still trying to understand. But I'm still trying to understand, because like you should, quote unquote, you should have gotten billed for it per se.
Yeah,
but
bill
turned into something, and then Like whether you didn't pay it or not, that'd be something else. But
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, you just didn't pay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. So what I
I'm
said
saying.
was correct. What I said was correct. What I said was correct.
So listen, like that's an asterisk.
But I never
You was
got.
supposed to
I
play.
never got. I never got any like. I never got in any trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like.
I think that
your credit, your
shout out to
credit. You don't give a damn about credit.
This was also, mind you, I was like 19 years old when this was. So
It don't
I
make
mean,
no
I
difference.
wasn't
Over 18.
exactly like,
So let me ask you, were you still on your parents' insurance during that time?
No.
Okay.
No, I was living out on my own.
You probably it probably was on your this is likely what happened if I'm being honest.
I probably just wasn't paying attention to my credit score and it just fell off after so long.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It likely you got charged for it, and if you didn't care about your credit score for enough years, it just ended up falling off, and you didn't have to necessarily care about it. That's more than likely what happened. But they billed you. You was supposed to pay. You just decided.
Yes, yeah. It's not like yeah, but
that's what I was saying. So what I said was the truth, right? Everything I said was the truth. You're gonna pay for it. You're gonna get billed for it. Fall off on your credit.
Just gave us the perfect example.
Because that's like emergency care, though, right? But like what?
No.
Go ahead.
No, what I was saying, like when you go there, they got to take care because it's moral code. It's part of the moral code. They have to take care of you. So, and that's why, one of the things like I tell I tell younger people, if you don't have insurance, when you are a person that don't have at least insurance or money and things like that, two things you don't want to do is you want to stay as healthy as you can be, and you want to stay out of trouble because you're gonna go to jail or you're gonna go die. Because once you get in there and that surgeon see you don't got no money, he ain't give a fuck about caring about your life like that. And you don't have no lawyer, you can't afford a good attorney, you're going to jail. Going to jail or you're going to the grave. Poor people, that's what happened to them. And the poorest. That's the truth.
But like what these gentlemen are talking about, like what the dude is mentioning about, like how our healthcare system. I mean, I agree with everything that he's saying. You know what I mean? But it's like now, if we were to change that, what would happen? Because people usually, when they go to medical school, it's not always for moral fiber. It's to like make good money. So what happens when?
I think it's dual, but I would say that if I don't think that doctors would necessarily, if anything, I guess. I think doctors would benefit way more off of universal health care because they're guaranteed to get paid, and they would be able to accept as many clients as they want to. It's kind of like if you hear anybody that does like they rent out properties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I actually love Section 8 tenants. If you can get the good Section 8 tenants, they love them because of the government gonna pay you every single month. You ain't gotta worry about nothing else. Government
but the thing is,
my husband's from Taiwan, and they do have an amazing like medical healthcare system over there. You know what I mean? Which is gonna suck if they get taken over by China. But anyways, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's so much money made by these big pharma and other companies that rely on sick people, you know what I mean, to stay sick, that it's going to be morally, you know what I mean, logically.
Yeah. And to me, like, I think that's where the guy, him being able to frame the incentive structure inside the healthcare system, I think is smart because of what you're saying. Like it ends up kind of actually fucking the people. I think you want to say something.
The thing is this right here. If you have universal, right, that means most of the time, what it seems to be is that if you are a doctor, you make so much money here. And is it to where, because it's not no capitalism in there. And with capitalism, it brings...
So you got to think like Canada, for example.
Yeah.
Like you can have universal health care, but then if you want to,
you can have private office, you can have private.
Yeah, you can still pay for, like, if you want to skip the line or if you want to do like you want a very specific doctor. Like there's still options outside of it. It's just the fact that in general, everybody gets paid.
Question.
So everybody's getting it, right? And everybody's paying this and everybody's doing this or that, whatever. The problem with it is here, we're talking about Americans. And we know as people being Americans, Americans will take advantage to whatever they can, as we see from foreigners, how they take advantage of things. They take advantage that we don't even think about taking advantage of because we live here every day and they look into it and they take advantage of that stuff. If everybody was to take advantage of things that happen like that, it would be like an incentive for a person to work harder or do a better job. If I can get same
So
thing you can and do. I can do okay if I'm a just some people just fine with just doing okay or doing above.
It's like, so are you saying that in the framing of like I understand it with like a bunch of other things? Are you saying that in the framing of like healthcare though? Like everybody shouldn't be able to just get the proper care for free?
No, everybody should be able to get the proper care. Everybody should be.
Yeah, like to me, I don't think that should be one of those things that's on like that list of an incentive to work.
But the thing is that if you are the person that are the provider, the doctor, and you know that you are the top of your line, but you're gonna make the same thing as this joker that don't give a damn, why should you work harder? Why should you be the top? What's the incentive?
No, but universal health care doesn't mean that every doctor gets paid the same amount either. And then that's also why like you can still have private practice within that system as well. Where like when people want to pay to go to a specific person, like that's incentivized. But even within that, you still have like ranking order of like tenure and specificity.
I do want to ask because doesn't it take like a really long time to get a doctor's appointment to like see a doctor in Canada or the UK where they have
that's the other part. That's why I said like you can pay to skip the line.
Well, same thing with Medicaid, because I used to have Medicaid because in Florida they just like give it to you. I didn't even know I had it. Whatever, I had dental and health.
Oh, and that's fire.
No, it's not because
it definitely can be.
There was
but
no
it might not have been. Go ahead.
There was no dentist in my area that took it.
Yeah, you was on the good side of town.
But then, so I drove like an hour and a half away to go to the dentist that does cover it. And instead of just like doing a deep clean on each like quadrant of my mouth and everything, they were just going to pull my teeth because it's just.
You see what I'm saying? Now you see what I'm saying?
Oh no, I get so. I'm not making an argument to say that right now America's system is like applicable for like universal health care, how Medicaid is set up.
Yeah.
No, but that's what you would get. That's what you would get.
I'm just letting you know that that's what it's like.
Oh no, listen. I definitely understand that like there's levels to it, and right now if you have private insurance, especially inside America, you are incentivized to go to that private insurance spot. And typically, if it's a spot that takes Medicaid and private, like you want to be a little weary. Like it sets up a hierarchy in general. My thing would be if you flattened out the like if everybody could afford it, generally speaking,
sliding scale.
It would be less of that hierarchy in general. And then I think that it raises the bar of care for everybody, and then you can still pay your way to get if you want Dr. Haagen-Dazs or whatever you want.
They do the sliding scale some places too, right? Like it goes based on income.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know they do that for dental places. I don't know if they do that for health or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we should all just move to Taiwan. I'm just kidding.
Okay, listen. I'm not with that because there's
my husband's
power that's knocking on that door, and we'll be Taiwan citizens for 2 years.
My husband's parents still. I mean, his whole family lives over there.
But my thing is like off of everything I just say incentive. As you just said, you know what I'm saying, an hour and a half you had to drive for somebody to go there and then them tell you I want to pull your tooth.
And they also told me that they don't do same day like services. You know what I mean? So I like drove all the way out there, and they're like, "Well, we can't. Even if we were gonna pull your teeth, we wouldn't be doing that today. This is just like in like a check-in appointment." I'm like, "Fuck
Consultation.
you."
Yeah. No, I get it.
And
Like,
Oh my god,
my thing is,
double HR now. Why do I even
but
come out here?
I'll be honest. Like for me,
I would
I hate that whole entire concept because that doesn't exist just only with Medicaid.
I wish
Like my son, he be like, matter of fact, he just like I guess you would say sprained, broke. Well, it was kind of like a break of his wrist a little bit. It was like a mild little fracture. I guess what you call. I think they call it like a bubble fracture where he's growing, so it didn't break as much as it bubbled up. But the first visit's gonna be, hey, this is kind of what we think, but you gotta come right back in about 4-5 days. And this is with
because
like
specialists. They have 1,000 specialists that they got to go. That's what it's about. It's about this doctor here gonna see to this doctor, that doctor gonna see to that doctor gonna see to that doctor. Because the whole thing is that it's just boom boom. It's like a.
But the thing is, you paying for each one of those. Like I'm paying money out of my pocket every single time, and that's what I'm saying. Either way, it's still kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Yes.
You pay, and then you have to pay.
I'm paying for you to tell me that I gotta come back.
Everyone that I have to speak to is like every time I got to fill out another paper.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's never good.
Every time you sign your name, it's another payment. It's another payment. Every time you sign your name, it's another payment. I'm paying this person because this person telling me what they do. So this person's sending me to this person. Now I got to sign this paper. Now they sending me to this person. Now you just got sent to 4 different doctors. You know what I'm saying? And it just goes on and on. And guess what?
And they don't talk to you.
Every time you go up to the next doctor, you go to the next doctor, it's higher than the doctor you went before that one. So it's boom, 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 boom.
I'm gonna tell you this, like these the things, like I said, my son, because he's especially within like the past like 2-3 years, like he's grown probably from like 5'10", and now he's a little taller than me, so he's like 6'4". And so with that comes the fact that like his knees are gonna be killing him. He's gonna strain his calf muscle. He's gonna strain, you know what I mean, like a bunch of different things. So he's done went through a bunch of different versions of sports related injuries that deal with growing really quickly. But a part of that is that now I get like the, you know, I get healthcare 101.
Hurt yourself.
And it's like so many times you go to the urgent care, and then the urgent care refers you out, in which you got to pay for that. But then you go into the specialist. And then the first consultation with the specialist, you're just telling you to come right back again so that they can actually do the real thing that's going to take only but maybe 30 minutes as well. And then they got to book the follow-up. So they done got you off of like, let's say it's just a basic calf strain. They got you 4 appointments before any real thing has happened that you've had to pay.
Well, they do that because they make a lot of money off of people doing that. And why would they stop?
That's my complaint.
They want to see more forms, here,
that's what I was saying.
And take these
too
pills.
Many specialists.
Well, but that's the argument against like the capitalistic structure where the specialist, like you're incentivized to be a specialist because you get another bag.
This is gonna sound like ridiculous, probably, but there should be like incentive for you to do like healthy things. You know what I mean? Like when people okay, my husband, for example, has diabetes, right? And I kind of stopped talking to him about his diet and stuff because he just doesn't listen. You know what I'm saying? And he just does whatever he's gonna do. And then I feel like
wait. Let me. This probably will sound a little weird.
No, go for it.
But so your husband is Asian.
Yeah. Because
he has diabetes.
Yeah.
Is that like, is it common in Asians?
Yes.
Like I
No.
didn't know that it's like,
common in Asian Americans that come over to America from Asia. He grew up in Taiwan and he came over here when he was 18, right? So
is it because of how the processed foods are with the foods that they eat that they can only get the ingredients here in America?
I mean, the ingredients are everywhere. It's just that when in Asia they eat very different. They just eat a big serving size of vegetables, usually some rice and meat. They don't really eat like burgers and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they eat a bunch of food, you know what I mean? It's not like all super healthy, but it's not like what we eat over here, like every day.
It's the amount of starch in their diet. It's starch. It's too much starch in our diet.
Yeah, it's like a shock to your
Yeah,
system.
for what they're used to. So okay, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's like when a lot of Asian people, I've been around a lot of Asian people for the past few years, but a lot of people, they turn red when they drink alcohol, right? It's like something like inflames their skin. It's like taking niacin after you drink like 2 beers or something.
That's interesting.
It's like, it's
But it makes sense. Because like they even there they drink a different version of alcohol.
Like
sake's
a different version. I forget what it's made out of, but it's not the same as like if you
rice
wine. Rice wine. It's like a rice wine.
Yeah, so it makes sense that they would react different. LTO, feel free to stay up here, or if you want to drop back down. I'm gonna push play on the video and
go for it. I'm gonna hang up. Thank y'all.
Okay. Yep.
Today is roughly 90 years old, give or take. When he died at 62 years old, he tells the story that if there was a simple thing as blood thinners, his father would have lived to be 90 years old, just like he is today.
Yes, that makes sense.
Came because of innovation, which he's been on for many years. My dad's been on blood thinners for the last 40 years. So
I think you're conflating two things right now. Not all innovation is the result of the market, because many healthcare developments are created by research grants from healthcare funding, whether it's in the United States or in other countries. In most other first world countries, the result of medical research developments, which are massively outpacing that in the US now because of our inefficiency, because we have a market-based system for healthcare.
A very basic question for you.
Is because
a very basic
of
question
non-market-based systems.
Basic question for you. If that's the case, it keeps going back to the same thing. If it's better in other places than it is here, why are Americans and others not going there? Why are people coming here? It's very basic.
How much does a plane ticket cost?
No, they have the money to go to different places. They don't, because they know America's the greatest country in the world. They know it.
Okay.
Appreciate
nice
you.
to meet you, by the way.
Hey, I'm Luke.
Luke?
Yes.
Like
Luke.
to have. Good to meet you.
Oh, thanks.
I have it 1-1 and even. I think he lost the first one for sure.
Second one, he lost the first one.
That one, it to me, I think it was fairly break even. Let's see what happens here with the Cowboy.
Tell Chuck to call in.
It's like Indiana Jones. You say what?
Chuck, call in.
Yeah, Chuck.
Chuck right. Chuck, call.
Yeah,
call in, Chuck. So me and Chuck, we go through our thing, but speak, Chuck.
But that's the homie. I got you.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you too. So I think incentives are exactly the fundamental problem with capitalism. Is that you say incentives are what make it work, and I think that's the whole issue. Is that the primary incentives are either greed, amass as much personal wealth as you possibly can.
You think that's the problem? It's greed.
Yeah, exactly. And like
you're not greedy at all.
And like you said, survival.
See, but he's about to do the thing where to recognize a symptom as being bad, it doesn't like a proper rebuttal isn't saying that you suffer from it also. And I think that's what he's going to do with the whole greed. If greed leads to exploitation, and then just asking the person, say, you don't ever get greedy. Well, of course I do, but that doesn't mean that I don't recognize that it's wrong also.
Everybody
the person, working
yeah
5 jobs, that they're doing that so they wouldn't want to do that if they didn't need to survive. But that's such a horrible dystopian world to live in. If someone has to work 5 jobs just to survive,
how did they get there? How much of that is on their decision making? How much of that is on their doing? How much of that is on the market where They're not finding ways to improve themselves.
It doesn't matter how much onus is on the individual. We want to create a
Of course
world.
it is.
No. See, we want to create a
onus
world
is on
in
you.
which people don't have to earn their right to exist, to live.
We live in a country where majority of the world wants to come here. The most important citizenship country is America.
Right.
People give up their lives to come here. Have you ever lived in another country before?
No, not lived, no.
Why do you think so many want to come here?
I think the people coming here are coming from gang-ridden, corruption-ridden, violence-ridden.
You think that's just all it is? You think I came from a gang-ridden in Iran? I lived there 11 years.
I think the majority of this.
Hold on. But see,
he sounded like a pro-MAGA. He sounded like a pro-MAGA. He sounded like a pro-MAGA. The dude with the cowboy hat sound like a pro-MAGA. The dude with the cowboy hat on.
I was about to talk about PBD, where with PBD, this is what I dislike when people they'll shape the argument. We was just talking about Charleston White in the last episode, where I felt like he was shaping an argument that met the needs of the argument at that moment, right? So what PBD is doing right now, like I've heard him talk about why his people left Iran. He's from Iran, and pretend like he didn't, like him and his people didn't leave Iran for a very specific reason that dealt with being war torn and corrupt leadership. It's crazy, but like what he used is like let me see exactly what he said, because he framed it in a way where he made it seem like they just came here just because of the American dream and not because of also inside their country. It was crazy. I think gang written. So he said gang written. So it might not be gangs, but it was a corrupt dictator and bombs being dropped on your head from the place that you're coming to.
Yeah, but the thing is that when foreigners come here, they claim why they came here, and they'll say what they did while they come here. But you have to understand, as far as in the things they get once they get here, it's a lot of things that they get that we as citizens don't get, like tax breaks and things of that nature. And it's a lot, it plays a role in a lot of things. And we as a country, we allow them to come here, and after a while, they are educated enough to where they have to take the test to basically be a citizen here, and they become a citizen here, and you allow them to, get all the things and all the benefits that comes from being here. And once they're here, they, they can become as corrupt as a person that was born here. Our country is built with corruption, and it's from corruption and towards corruption makes wealth. All wealth is always through corruption. All of it. It is. It just is.
I don't know if I agree with all wealth, but I understand the point that you're making. And I think that
the majority, I'll say the majority. I'll say all. I'll stand corrected on that and not say all, but majority of wealth is always built from corruption.
Yeah. If we're saying the majority, I definitely agree with that.
And not all. I stand corrected, okay?
No, we agree.
I'm here.
I think the people coming here are coming from gang-ridden, corruption-ridden, violence-ridden.
You think that's just all it is? You think I came from a gang-ridden in Iran? I lived there 11 years.
I think the majority.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. You see how he framed that? He came because of like the Ayatollah over there and his parents getting persecuted, but it wasn't a gang. And that, like, I hate when people do that. Like, you still left because it was fucked up there, and like just the because it's not like the gang thing. Like it's annoying when people do that just to argue with dumbass point.
The thing is that a person when you say gang, everyone has their own definition of the word gang. Gang means one thing, but a person will they'll take it to the thesaurus, and they'll use different words that when you look at in the thesaurus, it all means gang. But they'll put a certain spin on it and say it's not this, it's that. But if you put it in a thesaurus, it comes down to the same word, gang. And that's what it is, a gang.
What you're talking about is this is the thing that, like, shout out to the Discord. I make sure I say this in there. Like, I'm not about to have semantic like debates with y'all. And by semantic meaning like if like I would rather talk about concepts because we could probably agree or disagree on concepts. But as soon as we start like defining words and doing that whole little thing where we're breaking down the etymology of a word and what it means, and then we like doing a little word game and stuff like that, I don't really care to do that because it's all semantics. Like if we can agree on a concept, like, hey, we're talking about this thing, let's engage in it. But if we about to go over the definition of this word, and then we all got 3 different definitions, and then we trying to make this fit into this box, like this just like, to me, it's like it's a version of intellectual masturbation without ever coming. Like it's just a bunch of, like intellectual jerk
No,
about a book.
but do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying about it?
I know I
Games
agree.
can be-
That's but that's the point of what I'm saying. That, like and what he's doing, because of, you could probably use the idea of the Iranian government as a game, but what he would use is the semantic argument that we ain't got Bloods and Crips over there. We don't got MS-13 over there. That's not why it came. In which, if you actually went to like a broader definition of the word, it does still fit in it. And so, no, I agree. That's pretty much why I was making that point. So yeah, I agree with you on.
Okay.
I'll put you on it.
Certainly coming from South
Most
America.
people come here because what you're doing to me, you're sitting across from me right now.
Right.
Millions of people are going to watch this. In America, you can call me out. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You're free and safe here, right?
Sure. Freedom of speech is
You
nothing to do
can't
with
do that in
capitalism.
Iran. Of course it is. There's a lot of elements with America. You're talking incentive. The amount of benefit.
LTO. So we might have to get you back up here. Does that make you a passport, bro? Does that make you a passport, sis?
Yes, LTO. Don't tell me. Don't let me find out. Don't let me find out you got them bad forces now. We love you, but you tell the truth now. You got them when it found you some foreign dick. That's what you did. Found you foreign dick.
Shout out to the passport.
Dick bed over there. I'm just messing with you, LTO.
That's the homie.
Offers against other countries, it's so much higher, where somebody with big dreams, incentives, they're willing to come and say, I want to come to America, please let me in. And some come and take advantage of it. But to say the individual that's working 3 to 5 jobs, if you do that for a season, if you do that for 2 years, if you do that for 5 years, fine. If you do that for 20, 30 years, you're doing something wrong.
But the point is...
Oh, yeah, my bad. By the way, just some quick housekeeping. And I'm looking at the chat. We got some inside YouTube. We got some inside Twitch. We are streaming on 2 platforms for this show. Make sure that y'all tap in. We're both on Twitch and YouTube. Make sure that y'all comment. We respond back to comments. There's a super chat inside the corner for YouTube if you're there. Twitch, feel free as well. With that said, I'm gonna keep playing. Just want to make sure I address both audiences.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Those are the inalienable rights. We shouldn't have to earn those rights. We shouldn't have to earn the right to health care, to earn the right. No,
I
don't think you should have.
We just want to live, just exist. We can't work our blood, sweat, and tears just to survive. That's a horrible dystopian world that we live in right now.
No, then what do you think we're here for? To just sit around and play video games?
We're
what do you think we're here for? To sit around and watch TV shows?
We're here to
sit and watch cat videos.
We are here to create a prosperous community to lift
How do you create a prosperous community? How do you create a prosperous community? Matter of fact, for you, how have you positive?
Right now, Indiana.
There is no prosperity. There is no prosperity without capitalism. There is none. You can't be prosperous without being capitalist. You can't. It's because how are you going to profit? How are you going to profit without capital?
So to me, I'm more of a fan of like
what are you profiting on?
No, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, I think that we miss the idea that, like, I'm more of a social democrat than anything, which makes it's middle ground where you're mixing socialism and capitalism. I think that generally speaking, even if we speak about America, we're not only a capitalistic country because we have the social safety net that does exist. But to me, the countries that, in my opinion, that I like would be more of the Nordic countries, the mixed economy ones where there is an incentive for capitalism, but at the same time, there is really good and decent safety nets to where even as an entrepreneur, you're incentivized to take risk because of you don't have to worry about if it doesn't work, I'm just going to be completely out on my ass. Does that make sense?
Oh,
And I think like
yeah.
it being like a good balance where I can be incentivized for creating something and doing really good, but also with capitalism, there's this like weird space where you're incentivized to make something fire, but you also scared that if I invest too much of my time, money, and energy into it and it don't work, I'm about to be bankrupt and looking like Will Smith on The Pursuit of Happiness.
Well, you know, one thing is that a person has to understand about capitalism, and you have to understand about geographics as well. You know, it's like we live in a land that we have states. It's 52 states, right? Is that's the amount, right? Now you have Hawaii.
Adding
That
Puerto Rico, and like the territories and shit. I think that it
yeah,
yeah.
a little bit more, right? But what I'm saying is that we have
States
we have
provinces or like territories or whatever. Like 52 is the
yeah.
number.
Yeah, 52 is the number. But we had the territories because we had Guam, we have, you know what I'm saying, the different spaces that we have that's territories of ours. But what I'm speaking of this is this right here. Each territory or each state has its own entity and it's its own entity. So it's climate that controls a lot of the income a little bit. Like you, what you might have to do in the South, if you go all the way up to Canada, above Canada, which is Alaska, right? Now you have Alaska, their temperature is different. So it's a different climate. So different things and far and you know what I'm saying, things gonna vary from there. Versus if you have in Hawaii, where it's tropic, it's hot, and things go like that. So those two different
But I ain't
two
gonna
different
lie, like
aspects. See,
both
with
of those,
us in the
both of
United
those
States,
communities kind of like they I think if I'm not mistaken, they might lead American suicide rate. Both of those two, like the two states that you named, they're both like hot and cold, but their problem is that they isolated. And
no, but
the
that's what
American
I'm
dream
saying.
doesn't necessarily work for them because of they're disconnected from the actual continent. And it's its own little weird little
Yes,
thing.
but also, but I was starting with them too, and you know what I'm saying. It's a, you know what I mean. It's kind of, you know what I mean. It's sad what you just said. You know what I mean. That's a little bit morbid, but I didn't mean to start with a morbid topic on what I was saying. But what I'm saying, this right here is more or less on what I'm saying is that if you're in Washington State, right? It
Okay.
rains a lot up there. And
Right.
you're at the top of United States. When you're down in Florida, you know when you go down in Florida, it rains so fucking much it gets on your nerves, but you get used to it.
Mhm.
Those are two different places, two in the same continent that comes from one and it diagonally it's the top where you could be to the bottom of where you could be.
Mhm.
But the same type of weather happened. One of them is cold rain. The other one is a warm rain that's kind of drizzle and it kind of gets on your nerves. Both of them get on your nerves. So you have to understand that with that happening with the climate and things of that nature, health gonna be differently. It's gonna be differently because it's cold and rain. It's gonna be different because it's hot and rain. So we can't always have everything to where everything is going to be the same everywhere. But we can do far as in healthcare, we can do as far as in, you know what I'm saying, government things of this nature. But it's your spacing on where you live that kind of determines that's why it's not like that's why our laws are the way they sit because where you're at might figure out to be better for that law to be where you're at versus where a law is where that's at. That's why we have the different states and different states have different laws. and different things. You know what I'm saying? And but the whole thing is this right here. We don't have pay rate that's the same.
Mm-hmm.
The pay rate, you know what I'm saying? Each state can
you have
determine
a federal minimum wage, and then you have like the state minimum wage.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying.
You have to pay at least by this certain amount. But
imagine if we had a federal minimum wage of $25 an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody would move to Mississippi and West Virginia.
It'd be incentivized, but actually not necessarily. Like
but I'm saying
you might want to get a remote job from there. But what you have to think about is that we have California and New York as an example, where you get paid really, really good in California, but making $100,000 a year doesn't mean anything. Like you still got to have a roommate when you make $100,000 a year, and like that ends up being. But when you can get remote work, and this is why when COVID happened, they messed up the housing market. Was like everything went remote, and they all moved out of town. But they had so much extra money because they was used to paying like a 2-bedroom in Cali is $1 million. Like just the basic 150, like 1,500 square foot like house, 2-bedroom, like that's $1,900,000, $1 million. So like over there, they're used to already paying it. You can come to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, and you can get about 3 properties for what you used to paying for rent for one 2-bedroom. And I think that's like that's like I said, it's its own microcosm where
and that's
being in that state you don't want to, but if you can get access to their pay, then I think that it's fine.
But it's also more or less than that. It comes down to the pay and, like you said, the location. But you know what I'm saying? People understand what you're getting paid more from location and all this stuff, but you also have to put where you're living at once you're working there. And what a job will do, what a lot of people don't understand is that once you move to this certain state, they put you to that state's pay. The top, if you're at the top of that pay in that state, they're gonna put you at the top of what state you move in. But you can sell your property and get more money and buy more land or more property. You can have more space, but your income gonna go down if you're doing remote working.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's what happens.
I get it, and I'm gonna tell you this is the cheat code. You get your remote, you get your remote job at where you at, and then you move, and then you're gonna be all right because you ain't got to tell them that you move when you move. That's the beauty of it.
But you have to listen.
Well,
the whole thing is
after HR,
when taxes come,
I agree.
When the taxes,
you gotta tell HR.
Yeah,
or,
you have
not necessarily because of you. Like I know I get all my tax information online. I think recently this year I had to update my tax stuff because it was still getting sent to the wrong address. But it was also because for the past like 6 years, I just go to like they call it Exponent. I went to Exponent and I just grabbed my tax information from there. But nonetheless, let's get back to this.
Go ahead. You be good on that.
We're gonna try and make it at least halfway through here. We talking enough. We might not get through the whole thing, but let's see if we can get halfway.
Impacted the community.
I guess volunteering, food banks,
volunteering food. I appreciate you for doing that. Have you created jobs for others?
Created jobs? No, I wouldn't say.
Why have you not?
I haven't had the ability to do so.
Do you think it's easy or do you think it's hard?
To create jobs is probably hard. Yeah.
It's okay. So the people that create jobs, you think they should have a little bit of incentive for having risked their life savings, spend time away their families to create jobs so somebody like you can work for that company.
Sure, but that does not,
the incentive.
And bravo for them, but that does not give them the right to pay themselves $2 million bonuses while their workers are scraping by at like $10 an hour.
You don't get to choose how much money I choose to make. That's not your business. That's my business. If you have 4 girlfriends and I have 1, is it my business to tell you can't have 4 girlfriends?
I think
if you play 7 hours of Fortnite every day,
right,
and I don't play Fortnite at all, should I tell you you shouldn't be able to play 7 hours of Fortnite a day?
In my view.
I got a rebuttal on that one. With him saying about playing video games and him out there, he sounds like a fool.
Yeah, he keep going back.
He's stretching. He stretch Armstrong with that one. And it's like everybody that does that don't play these video games. People are just working. And what he do is the same thing with, he's the corner store dude that look down on you and you're buying their product. Oh, I own this store. You live here. Why don't you buy this store? Because shit. Come on, bro. You don't buy no fucking store. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Nigga, you live in the back. You know what I mean? People have different moral codes on what they want to, and everybody moral might be fucked up or whatever, but somebody want to do that shit. And that's what they're going to say. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And what you not wanting to do that, but they thriving. He's thriving on bullshit. And that's what I'm saying. It's a delusion of people wanting to say they going to get more or they want more, but they're not willing to get it. And you know what I'm saying? You gotta put your foot in the mud sometime. And
right. I also don't think that PBD is foot in the mud though. And I think that my issue with him, he ain't never if you was to look at this conversation, maybe I give him a little bit of the edge in the conversation, even though I disagree with his point.
No,
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think with him, and where he was. Damn, I can't remember. Go ahead, Uncle. I'm sure I'm gonna remember where he was just at.
No, but what I'm saying is that he didn't put his foot in the mud, but what he did was they think about it. People don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Up north, right? You had people that had these tenant houses. Like it's cheaper to buy a 3-family house or a 3.5 family house where you have a family in the basement, a family you might stay on the first floor, there's second floor and third floor, right? And it might be an attic. You have and you might have you could turn that into a 1-bedroom apartment or type of efficiency. Now you have all this, right? But once you do that, it's about the loan that you get for it and how you take care of that loan. Because you had plenty of families that had those houses, and people, how did they get this house? They didn't know. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't know that if you was to get the loan for this, that it would be cheaper and it would be easier for you to do it because you have a steady income flowing in and you kept your credit where it needed to be at. And it's between credit and things like that. It's education. It's uneducated people that you don't have to have a lot to do good. Because if you have that coming in and you have those people that's paying this or whatever, you can pay your mortgage, you can do whatever, and you have a little supplement on the side where you can have, that's your side hustle. But people don't look at it like that. They never looked at it like that, and they never knew nothing about that because everybody hid that from each other. Those that did it didn't tell others, but they made it happen.
Yeah. And I guess where I was gonna go was what I don't like about what PBD does inside, like how he frames it. I think like the term inside, like if you was doing debate, it'd be like straw man. So he loves to like build the straw man. His straw man is the guy playing Fortnite in video games, and that's his example as a rebuttal for everything. Well,
but
if you start a business, But if you're playing video games in your mom's basement, then it's like that's not the reality of the average person.
No,
that's
working and trying to
get better. And I think he does the whole little low-hanging fruit examples that to me don't really speak to the notion of like the reality of the situation. So when a guy he gave the example of like the or PBD, he used the example of like a billionaire or a business owner that employs people that that he should be able to pay himself whatever amount. And I think that maybe he did some version of questioning about that with the guy.
One
And he got
thing, one,
the point.
one thing
And
that most people don't understand is this right here. You workforce goes like this, and it's normally you get what you pay for. If you pay a person a decent rate and you give them the decency as far as in the healthcare and things of that nature that jobs do give, if you have a good pay rate and you have a good, you know what I'm saying, far as in, you know what I'm saying, the benefits and things of that nature, you're normally going to get good employees. And what it is that it's your lower management job to keep good employees and do right by those good employees. Now, if your lower tier management is bullshit, you're gonna get bullshit employees. Because the majority of the time what happens is that a lot of times with lower tier employees and you know what I'm saying, the as I call them, you know what I'm saying, the bottom floor or the workers, they gonna work as good as the management. If management take care of them and this that whatever, sometimes you can slide and do things for people, but they don't. It's not you. You can make as much money as you want to, but you have to pay people, and you have to make people want to come to. If a person is happy at coming to work every day, it's not work to them. It's enjoyment. If they come to work and if it's a benefit more than just monetary, everything isn't always monetary. You know what I'm saying? Because it can be monetary, but it's if you're paying them right, the monetary is already there. That ceiling is taken care of. They're making good money.
right, right.
But if you can put it to where they're working and they're enjoying themselves, make a work flow enjoyable for the person and make it where they're happy to come there every day and their pay is to what their labor is, and then you will get a better workflow.
Right.
That's
Good. Or what? So else, yeah. Just to answer. So to me, I think that if I'm looking at what the guy was saying and the response to PBD, I would say I think that there's typically a happy medium where I don't like I'm okay with there being, and this is probably like a quote unquote controversial view. Like I'm okay with there being an income ceiling in America. Like I don't think
yeah.
that you need to make past a certain amount of money. And that like I think that you should be able to make a certain amount of money also though. And like everybody doesn't have to be able to make that same amount. And it's okay to have some version of hierarchy because that's how humans are built. But I think that we get lost in the concept of when we stretch it to the extremes of either side. Like when he made the video game extreme, or when you say, so like you saying I can't get a big house and a nice car. I think everybody would think that if you innovated some shit, you should get a big house and a nice car. I also don't think
No,
you need to make $10 billion a year because you can't even spend that much money. Like Elon Musk
can
has
I
money
can,
he can't spend right now. Like there's no way for him to
but
spend that if he wanted to. And like to me, I think that
can
that's
I
the part where it ends up kind of messing up the like that's the a bit of the American dream fallacy that messes things up, in my opinion. All right, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. The thing is that like I tell everybody, move where your money make good for you. It's certain spots that money and types of jobs are there. And it's all so far as in you sitting there and you working and you know, if you know where you're at, it's no jobs there, move. Get your ass up and fucking move. Why are you gonna sit here where you know it's dwindling down to nothing and you're gonna be worth nothing? Just you went to college and you come back home to this shit hole of a space. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump called them shithole countries, but it's shithole towns and it's shithole states far as in the industry that you're doing. If you know that whatever you're doing isn't making no money there, there's nothing wrong with you going somewhere and making money there. And guess what you can do? If you love where you're from so much, build you a property there and stay where you're at and also have a property there. And once you get to where the spot to where you're doing good enough, you can have both properties and you can go back there and your money has got built and you can live on the minuscule money that you have, the little bit of money that you have or the money that you're making, and you have your property. It's already paid for and you don't have to make that much, but you where you need to be, but you need to get away to make money to come back and do what you have to do. Don't stay where you're not going to make money at. Why? Why? I love it here. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. You love where you're at and you're not making no money. Oh, I'm not going to never leave this. This my space. This my hood. This my whatever. Why?
No, I
Why?
got you. I'm gonna push play, see where it takes us.
Hey, appreciate you.
Absolutely.
How are you? What's your name?
Zena.
Zena.
Get out this.
Awesome. So this claim about incentive is one that we see often promoted by capitalism enjoyers, right? And it's this idea that, profit incentives is the only thing that can make humans do things, get up out of bed every day, which has never been the case historically. It's not the case psychologically.
Historically, it's never been the case?
No,
What has been the case?
So we've seen
What's been the incentive?
the incentive.
Yes. Let's
is
get
intrinsic
it.
motivation.
Intrinsic motivation?
Of course. Have you ever heard of intrinsic motivation?
Of course I have. So you think people are going to go just do anything for no incentives?
The incentive is intrinsic, meaning passion, interest, and honing your skills.
Whether you get paid or not.
Well, the problem is that we're forcing people to, need to, work to survive.
So
in
what's
system.
the alternative? So give me another solution, another
May I
economical
finish
system.
the talking point?
Actually,
Right,
I'm
awesome.
curious.
So the psychological theory of self-determination is widely accepted in psychology. It basically explains that intrinsic motivation and passion is actually what predicts incentive. You're arguing that incentive is integral to profit-driven motivation. That's not true. Extrinsic motivation, at all times, at every single case, is going to, predict less creativity, less motivation, less skill, etc. Intrinsic.
I completely agree with this, and you see this with like rap right now, where most rappers look at music industry no longer as an art form in which you're motivated at being like the best within the art form, but as now a money grab. So now everybody is just attempting to get as much money at as least amount of effort, and that's the whole thing. So now you have people that are rappers that say, I don't even like rapping, I'm just doing this to get rich. And that's okay within the art form because of it's incentivized just to make money. And I think that true artists typically end up falling by the wayside because of this, because of art. If art's no longer being incentivized by the record label, like let's say being a good rapper is not being incentivized, but what is being incentivized is being somebody has a lot of followers, somebody that does something that gets a lot of clicks, then yeah, like I said, like the art form in general will typically suffer. Most creative endeavors, once not the fact that like you can make money because you're really good, but with it being done to make money ends up corrupting the art, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's what it is in life in general. It's passion. It's a lack of passion. And the thing is that everybody wants to make money as quickly as they can to do things and buy things, this, that, whatever. But just because they make that money don't mean that money is going to stay. And that's one of the key things. The money doesn't stay. And these people like these influencers and all these people, they might make money that could be generational wealth, but it's not. It comes out to being that they're just bullshit. And the money that they're sitting there, they're blowing it because you see them buying all this stuff or whatever. Everything they buy devalue as soon as they buy it. You know, they go and buy a Rolex watch, put all these diamonds in it, devalues the watch. They go out here and they'll buy so and so. They'll put all this and alter this car, devalues the car. You know, it's it's uneducated making money to put money back towards the people that gave you the money. And that's what happens. It
Yeah.
happens that all the time. And with the art form, like you were speaking with that, is art is normally, you know what I'm saying, it's art is only good enough to the crowd that consider it art. Now, we know good songs, bad songs. We know good rhymes, bad rhymes. We know good times, bad times. But with that happening, it's up to who is the consumer of it. The consumer of majority of this stuff is not the people that are making it or the people that look like the people that's making it. And the consumers of it always want a jester. And that's what you are. When you're an entertainer, no matter what you are, all of them are entertainers, whether it's sports person, a person that plays, you know, sports, or a person that's a personality here or whatever. You're just a court jester to people that have money. So those that have money controls all of it. If the people with the money don't consider what you're doing as an art form or something that is an art form that's worthy of their money getting spent on it, then it's not an art form to them. Even though pure artists know the difference with it. And you can sit and
Yeah, man.
yell and
I guess what I'm saying is the fact that when like an art being good isn't incentivized, but the idea of art making money is incentivized, then you get
that's what I'm
very
saying.
but with that you get very quick um like what was it, cookie cutter art, and it's very
Yeah.
easy, but but to me, in my opinion, I think that right now we progress as a society to where we're now seeing the first time that what is considered art, especially inside music expression, isn't also deemed at like a specific level of expertise. Even hip
Yeah.
hop, there was a certain level of expertise that came with it, and that's
But
what kept integrity and what they call artistic integrity within the art form, even by those people that even want to use the word exploited. Like if you go look at the 50, well, no, you can go back to like even like whenever, like if you to play classical music, there's a very
yeah.
specific skill set, and to make money off of it, there's a specific skill set that goes to it. If you look at jazz,
Yeah.
blues,
Mhm.
R&B, um,
Mhm.
through like up until
And-
like this most recent time, there was a time like being a singer, you had to be able to actually sing still, and there was a
yeah.
gatekeeping process that got to the process to where you had to have talent, and then like unfortunately maybe that talent gets exploited. But right now we're at a time, in my opinion, that the talent doesn't matter because it's only about the exploitation.
No,
And I think
it's about popularity. It's a
and
popularity.
and, and if I was to bring it back to like the point, because they're talking about intrinsic um incentive, I think that for good art, the intrinsic incentive has to be not money, but to be good. It's to be better than everybody and understand that money comes with it. And if you don't have that, then the art's going to suffer, in my opinion.
And it
That
always it's gonna suffer.
athletic
It
sports,
always has suffered. Because you look at far as in when you speaking about different genres of music and all this stuff, the art always suffers because the popular people are not the ones that, you know what I mean, that are the best at what they do. The popular people are the ones that the masses like. It's about a like process. If they don't like you or they said whatever, if you look at far as and you go back just let's say 40 years ago, R&B singers wasn't all young. They weren't all this or that, whatever. You had 40, 50-year-old R&B singers that was on Soul Train, and they was doing good music. It was about the art form. But just
Right. You,
5 to 6 years later, just to 10 years later, everybody had to be young, had to be sexy, had to be. See, the problem is that you had
but
the
let me ask
masses,
you because
those
like,
who.
so you're giving like an example of going from the 80s to the 90s, but to me, if you look at like what was produced in the 90s, like if we just go R&B, there's immaculate singers still existing though. Like even if you go 5 years,
Yes, they.
if you go from like early 80s to mid 80s, you still got Luther singing. Like you still got
Yeah,
like
but
all
but that's
the art is
that's what I'm
being
speaking.
it's still being highlighted with inside that nuance where even if
But
you go younger, you got to be good though. And I think that there's
tell
a
me, tell me in the 90s, what artist, big boy like Luther, that they had except Gerald Levert, and he came from the late '80s. It was
you
none.
said no,
After a
no,
while, it was all
but you
about the
just gave
vid.
like a very specific thing. But if you just talk about the 90s and the artists that came from the 90s that can sing really good and wrote really
Oh,
good
you got plenty of it.
that wrote really
Oh,
good
oh,
records that stands up to like the 80s and 70s, you can name a bunch of those though. And like
yeah,
if
you.
you like of a specific like was there a Luther Vandross comparison? Maybe not. Like I had to think, and maybe there wasn't. But could you say that there was a comparison of people that made quality records that couldn't stand
Yes,
against Luther? Then
yes,
I would say yes.
but they didn't stand the time because of the youth.
Like the 90s
Because
R&B
what
didn't
it
stand
is
the time.
90s R&B music stood the time. But what it
Right.
is that when they got older, no one, like, you know what I'm saying? We what I went to go see my last Luther concert the last year. The year before he died. It was the year him and Gerald Levert was on a concert together. And next year, both of them was dead. The
Mhm.
last of the good singing big men. It's been no big men that could sing, and both of them and people. And to be honest with you, both of them came from the '80s, and both of them were sex symbols. It's no sex symbols that are big men no more. Everybody
Right.
has to
And
be
I'm just
so
saying, like
healthy.
we moved into like a different conversation. In which
No, what I'm saying is that
if you a big man for
what I'm
long enough, you probably got a short shelf life. And
yeah.
then go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is that the factor of, you know what I'm saying, it's there that their art was their art and they were good at it. But today, you know what I'm
They got
saying,
paid
and it started in the 80s with the videos and all this shit. Once you start seeing the videos come out, everybody had to be this. Either you was this type of person, you was that type of person, or whatever, and the people were looking at you. People got to see you more, you know, and you
right.
were seen
But
more.
shout out to Biggie.
And
He said fat, black,
visualization.
whatever, but he was really good. And that's why people liked him. I think that
We talking about,
Little Italy, like whatever the hell he said, like people like Big
yeah,
Pun. He could rap really well, not because he was like
yeah,
a specific sex symbol. And I think that even in hip hop, talent has been highlighted for a long time until it wasn't. And I think that most
yeah,
recently it hasn't been. And maybe you can point to like mid 2000s to where it started making a segue. But like if you look at
mhm,
90s hip hop, same way, like I said, like if you look at 90s R&B, there was an incentive structure to be able to sing. Like Boys to Men, they had to go a cappella and really get the shit off. Shy, they had to go a cappella and really get the shit off. Drew Hill, they had to really sing to be able to be who they was. These weren't like a bunch of attractive looking guys. You had the lead man that was 5'5" with
well,
hair.
we went
And
on, we we went on the, and just because he 5'5" don't mean, just because you 5'5" don't mean you're not attractive.
no, I ain't say that. I'm just saying like what's his name? Cisco was 5'5", blonde hair, and effeminate. And I don't know that to be a specific sex symbol. That's the point that I'm making. Where he wasn't like Genuine is somebody that people will be like, oh, this is like the classic, like R&B guy that's supposed to be in front. Cisco
got
wasn't
you. I got you.
necessarily that, but Cisco could sing, and he was getting this shit off.
Just-
And that's the point that I'm
Yeah,
saying
he
is that
was.
like talent meant something. When you look at them old Drew Hill, I look back at them old Drew Hill videos, and I be like, these some regular niggas that could sing good. That's what I say.
Yeah, but it was same thing. You know what I'm saying? But it pulled off
When I
from the
look at
regular
JP
niggas.
and JoJo, I be like, those some regular niggas that can sing good.
The original was boys from Charlotte. You know what I'm talking about?
That's
The
what I
boys
said.
from Charlotte.
To my Jodeci.
Yes, them boys from
Yeah.
Charlotte. Got them hood niggas. They got them, but they could sing because they grew up in church and they got them did their thing and they could sing. But all I'm saying is that it's not like that now because it's a now factor where everything has to be now. It's quick. We fast, and you have to be this. You have to be what it is. It's
Right.
you have to.
You agreeing with the point I was saying. I think we
Yeah, the Hollywood standard.
You're saying all that I was saying. That's the point I was saying.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be
It's a
where.
microwave right now.
Yeah, it's a microwave, and you have to be that man. If you're a male, you have to be. The women want you, and the men want to be like you. That type of shit. I got you. Let's push play. Let's go on.
All right.
I'm
Motivation
sorry.
is what causes things like in all times, at every single case, is going to predict less creativity, less motivation, less skill, etc. Intrinsic motivation is what causes things like technological development. Some of the greatest breakthroughs have been from people who are devoted in honing their skill.
So should they get paid for it?
I think that we shouldn't live in a system that privately owns the means of production and forces people in this position.
What college did you go to?
USC.
You went to USC. What did you major in?
Sociology.
Sociology. Who's your hero as a professor? Who's the professor you look
this
up to?
doesn't seem like a topic
Do you know
that's
why I
related to
asked this
capitalism.
question? The reason why I asked this question is because somebody convinced you of that. Somebody convinced you that is
so
the
psychology
way that
and studies convinced me of this fact about the human mind.
Unfortunately, to your claim, results show that the greatest
results
economical
show that
system
intrinsic
is
motivation predicts more
capitalism
creativity
that allows
and more
people to go
profit
above and
than
beyond
anything
and
like
solve
extrinsic
every
motivation.
single issue out there. An entrepreneur who gets up, who says,
what was your claim again, mister?
I'm going to incentive.
Incentive.
The entrepreneur
what about
who
incentive?
has an incentive to go out there and build their lives, and you put
so
no
I'm saying that this
monetary
incentive that you're talking about,
yeah.
What predicts the best incentive, the best drive, and the best creativity
so what do you think about
has
Elon
been proven
Musk?
by psychology.
What do you think about Elon Musk?
Can we respond to my claim?
This is about incentive.
All right, awesome. So you're arguing that incentive is intrinsic and tied to extrinsic motivation. What we find is that the best incentive comes from intrinsic motivation.
So a person that's passionate about solving an issue is going to build something bigger than somebody else that's not.
Yeah, so someone who has a true passion for this.
Yeah, so
exactly. So profit motivation is not the thing that's driving innovation, right?
Of course
psychology.
Of course,
so psychology proves that that's not the case.
If there's not,
that profit's not the reason that we have the greatest inventions that we do today.
I don't know if I disagree with the fact that there's a passion behind it. Are you saying people with passion, even if there wasn't the incentive to make as much money as they would make, people would still pursue it even with or without money?
That's what psychology says.
Well, your claims are wrong because
that's not true.
Whoever your psychology professor is, if you look at data and you find out how America, that's only been around for 249 years, schooled all the other countries that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yeah, but that's exploitation, not passion. I think that the point that she's making is an interesting one, but I think it's true. I think that if people that are passionate for a thing are going to give you the best results in general.
Yeah, they are. Always.
And the thing is that, like, if you base something off of like financial incentive, you will get some people that are passionate to do like say things. Let's say let's say medical research, for example. You'll get some people that are passionate for medical research that'll be passionate and have the money to do it. But what you'll also do is you will limit the pool of people that can be passionate and pay the money to get said degree and be able to do the thing. In comparison, where if you eliminate the money aspect to it, and you just get all the people that are passionate about, let's say, medical research, you end up with more people that's passionate and likely is going to drive better results. I think it's
There's
They
more.
schooled all.
They did better
they
than others because the incentive
because they
was
accumulated
free market
profit,
capitalism.
right, to
That's why.
1% of the population
Not
and
necessarily.
continue to produce
Nope,
on that
not
basis.
necessarily. It's
Right? We
not-
have this. Okay.
It's
So
not necessarily.
Do we want to respond, because you can say that
You've been
the
interrupting the entire time. So if you're saying about the 1% are the problem and they're the only ones that make money,
That's
a lot
not
of
what I
people
said.
make money. You said the profit goes to the 1%.
I'm explaining how it is that America has become the dominant power that it is now, right? What we see is that because we have this engine, right, this desire to accumulate profit, we morally justify things like going to other countries, imperializing them, colonizing them, extracting their resources, right, to funnel our country, right? Social democracies in the Nordic countries don't do this. So yeah, they might not be the wealthiest power, but they have higher rates of education, literacy, human satisfaction, etc. Right? So it depends on what we actually value in a society. Do we value well-being, or do we value profit accumulation?
Validates your point. If that's the case, people would move to those states. They don't. When you judge a great restaurant by the amount of people that come in, you can say the food sucks here.
Yeah,
you
so
can say the
there were
service
millions
sucks
of people that lived
but
in
everybody's
Germany.
lined up to want to come here. They're not lined up to go into
so
those
there are
countries.
there are
They're
millions-
just used by professors as theories.
There were millions of people that also lived in Germany in the 1920s.
I lived in Germany before as well for 2 years.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment aligning to this source. They getting you the ground.
My next claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
Patrick.
How are you?
I'm Gabby.
Gabby?
Yeah,
Good
nice
to meet you.
So I would argue that governments have actually lifted the most people out of poverty. If you look historically, we look at China, for instance, had the most significant poverty reduction in all of human history. They poured
All right, hold on. Shout out to LTO for the Myron Gaines name drop. And then and I think 2 hours is like a very light number that you put on it. But I'm gonna disagree with you. Only because I think that the majority of those like the Fresh and Fit fanboys and shit like that deal inside the manosphere, I think that they're all posers. The more I've came across to anybody that regurgitates any of those talking points, the more that it's rare that you see any of them live up to their words. Even Myron Gaines, like what he's going through right now with his girl leaving him for a construction worker is hilarious. A roller skating construction worker, and this is where, like, to me, I think that when I hear guys get on the internet and overly drag on a lot of these specific talking points, like the manosphere talking points, I think that shit is almost like a beacon or like a flag that's like, hey, this person probably has some shit going on. But I'm gonna push play. I just wanted to respond to that.
They pulled 800 million people out of poverty using state-owned enterprises and state centralized planning. They did work with the capitalist system, but they did it, most of it was done through state-funded infrastructure, education, and contributing to strong literacy programs, redistributing the wealth. I think that my other argument would be that there hasn't been an opportunity for alternative systems like socialism to pull enough people out of poverty. So we look at examples.
There hasn't been?
There hasn't been enough opportunities for them to succeed. And so when
Why
we
do you
say,
think that is?
I think that is partly because of the US, and I think because capitalist forces and global market insecurities have sabotaged these attempts to do socialism. So we look at an example in Chile in the 1960s, they elected a democratic socialist, and he proposed literacy reform, wealth redistribution, land reform, and all of that was a threat, obviously, to the United States because McCarthyism was on the rise at the time. And so instead of allowing Allende to have a chance with that, the U.S. Orchestrated a CIA-backed coup to take over and to have a military dictatorship that led the country instead of Allende, who actually was having a lot of success in reducing the poverty rates before the U.S. interfered. And so I think we look at other parts of Latin America, like Venezuela, for instance, and we see the same thing. We see that the U.S. has interfered several times. You know, with Chavez in Venezuela, he was able to reduce the poverty reduction in half in the first decade of him being in office. And he was sabotaged ultimately by the U.S. and by a military dictatorship. So that the people that replaced them were actually.
So may I respond? It's a lot of different cases here. So let's thank you for that. Let's go China first. Okay, so when you say China was able to recover and because they use state-funded, nationalized systems. So In 1978, Xiaoping, the leader of China, went to Japan. He saw what was going on with Japan for 2 decades. Every year, their GDP was growing by 15%. The economy was doubling pretty much every 4 years. They go over there, they say, we got to find a way to compete with Japan. How do they have fewer people, but they're beating us? They sit down with their leaders after a few drinks. Eventually, they say, how did you fix your economy to be growing the way that it is? A capitalistic society that they had in Japan. They asked the question from Xiaoping, the prime minister Fukuda, asked the question, how many banks do you guys have in China? He says, we have 1 bank. He said, it's a nationalized bank? He says, yeah. That's it? Yeah. How many loan officers do you have? Not many. You want to compete with 1 bank? Yes. He says, if you want to compete with us or others, here's what you have to do. You need 5,000 banks with 35 branches, with 30 loan officers. That's a total of 5.25 million loan officers and a population of 600 million people that are living there. You do that every week. You take 10 applications with these loan officers for small business owners, and you allow the small business owner to compete. They did that. China started competing. By the way, in America in the 1920s, we had around 30,000 banks when we were really, competing in a marketplace. In the 80s, we ended up having around 14,000. Today, we only have 4,100 banks in America. That concept of allowing just 1 bank to compete, it's not going to work. China takes on the idea from Japan.
If I can interrupt you, I mean, I think that
they start growing with certain capitalistic philosophies.
I think you're thinking about this in very capitalist terms, which makes sense. You're a capitalist, but
because it works, that's the idea. Because it's produced the results.
You're only thinking about these scenarios in a situation where market mechanisms are in place, and this is the problem that I have with so many capitalists: is they can't exit their worldview and try to see a world where socialism could be in place because they don't understand the untapped potential of socialism. And I'm a democratic socialist. I think that we need to build forward towards that with reforms, and I think we need to work with the government. I don't think that we should abandon the state. I also don't think that we should give state elites the complete control over society. I do think that we should work with the state to instill these reforms and then eventually erode capitalism.
But unfortunately, socialism has had hundreds of years
thinking in terms of
to produce results, and it hasn't worked. Do you know why it doesn't work, though?
It's been sabotaged.
It's been sabotaged, or it's because it forces people to do something they don't want to do.
Does capitalism not do the same?
No, capitalism gives you
there's 7 million people in this country who have to work multiple jobs just to get by.
I have to work multiple jobs
They're
for a season.
forced to do that because either they do that or they starve. So if the options are to work or to starve, that's not freedom, that's economic coercion.
Respectfully, if you do that for a period of your life, I understand it. If you're doing that for 30 years, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be working multiple jobs for the rest of your life.
So first of all, I'm not going to argue with this moral argument. I think that people who live in poverty, especially when we look at how many people live in poverty in this country, and also it depends on how you define the poverty line, but there's 40 million Americans who live below the poverty line in this country. There's 3 guys in this country that own 40% of the wealth. How does that work in a country that is
You really want to go there? You want to go there? Okay, so let's talk about it. So when we talk about the rich people at the top, okay, and you say, well, the rich don't pay enough taxes. Do you know what the bottom 50% of taxpayers in America pay towards the revenue that the government gets in taxes? Do you know what the bottom 50% pays?
Tell me.
2% of taxes. Do you know what the top 1% pays?
There's been several years.
Do you know what the top 1%? Do you know?
They've been nothing.
No, hang on a second.
Taxes.
This is from the IRS. I'm not writing a blog from Huffington Post. This is not Daily Beast. I'm telling you the story. The top 1% pays 42%
I'll say this: the
of all
top 1%
tax
is
revenue.
about to pay a lot less in taxes because of the.
I just want to jump in here. With him spewing that is the same bullshit that all of them spew, that what the top is, because what they are not talking about what they pay. What they're talking about is what their employees pay. And the people they employ pay. It's not what they actually pay themselves. You know what I'm saying? Their money is coming to them directly, but they always want to come from what the worker bee is doing. But they want to be the queen bee, sit back and fat and just get fucked and goddamn have an orgasm. They could get to have orgasms and get fucked all the time while they just sitting there and did nothing, fucked and fed. That's what they do. But he's wanting to tell you what everybody else is, what they're making, and that's the bottom line on what that is. It's not what they're paying, it's what the people that they pay are paying, and that's the amount of money that they are paying. And then they say that the money that the people are paying is not any money at all, because they're paying the people this money. They're paying no taxes.
And I guess, like, going along with what you're saying, I think that to me, like there's a bunch of like clever things that's happening inside the conversation that should be addressed. One, a good portion of like these wealthy people find ways to not pay taxes through loopholes. So most of what they're doing, whether it's 0%, like Donald Trump won't release his tax returns. Like you can go through a bunch of these people, like they understand like the loopholes of how to pay as minimal taxes as possible. And I think that you have to hold on, you have to take that into account. And then I think that you have to think of things in comparison of you have to compare and contrast income levels. So if I'm paying 2% of $1 billion,
Yeah,
that's so much more than 25% of 60,000.
yeah,
Even though you have
you're
to keep
right.
so much more of your money. And so, like, because of the income equality is so drastic, that in itself is going to be drastic as well. And it doesn't, like, saying 40% doesn't necessarily mean anything if you're only paying 1 or 2%.
But the thing is this right here. Most of them don't pay anything because they don't own anything. Nothing is in their names. It's all in business names and LLCs and bullshit bars and this. You know what I'm saying? If you can do all this through business, you pay no taxes and you actually get a refund. And that's what happens with a lot of them. And what they do is like the thing is not that, but it's that they are not paying any taxes directly from them. Their money comes straight to them, and it's all cash money. Nothing taxed or anything like this, but it's them getting that money, and they're yelling that I'm paying so much taxes because, like I keep saying, they're paying it through their employees. Their employees paying taxes is the way they feel like they're paying taxes, and they get it, and they always find a loophole. It's a loophole here or a loophole there. If I lease this, I don't have to pay on this. I get a tax break on this, so and so, whatever. It's that falls into it. So it's there. It's there for them to do it, and it's nothing. It's not illegal, you know. And people just have to understand that it's going to happen like that. But until you control it yourself, or own your own business, or be an entrepreneur, or whatever you want to do, it's just going to happen like that. It is. It's just going to happen like that.
Gotcha.
And we can't get upset with them for it because of that. Because you still getting your paycheck every week in your account.
Well, no, I think I can get upset about it, but I get what you're saying. I do have a problem with them not paying like a decent percentage.
Yeah.
Or completely not paying taxes. I personally do, but I get what you're saying. I'm gonna push play.
Vision
They'll
that just went
actually end
into
up paying
Trump's,
even
your
more
guys'
revenue to the
big
government.
beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hope you ain't like the right lady with the shag haircut.
It's an L on that one.
That's
Hi.
fast.
I'm Anne.
Anne, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I do want to address
This is
part of the
plastic.
claim about poverty, but I also want to address what you brought up about like paying taxes. You
Mhm.
said the top 1% pays a large amount of taxes. The problem is that the bottom 2 quintiles can't pay taxes because they quite literally have no wealth. Do you understand that? Like the bottom quintile of the United States doesn't have any wealth. In fact, they're in debt, so they have literally like negative wealth.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's for a lot of reasons. I think that's because workers have been exploited. I think that they haven't had the opportunity to gain social mobility
Why do you think that is?
because of exploitation.
You think they're being exploited?
Yes.
Oh, so people are being forced to work at companies. They don't have a choice.
I didn't say that they were.
So people
well,
are being.
they are being forced. If the other option is starve or die.
What job do you have right now? What do you do for a living?
I do work from home stuff. I don't want
Okay,
to disclose that.
so you chose to do that, right? That's your choice. Great. If somebody works at Starbucks as a barista, it's their choice. If somebody has a job that they're working, it's their choice. If somebody is not utilizing their time properly and accordingly, of course the market's not going to pay you.
Do you think that,
call
like,
in,
they
brother.
brought up single
You
mothers
doing all the
earlier. Do you
type.
think that single mothers
Call
are
in.
sitting around playing Fortnite 15 hours a day?
Unfortunately, single mothers were manipulated on what happened.
Is that a
in-
yes or no?
Single mothers were manipulated by what Lyndon Johnson came out with. They changed the benefits on giving single mothers the incentive to have kids on all the welfare program. That changed our system in a major way. The feminist movement got single mothers to believe they don't need men and they're going to do everything by themselves and they don't need a man to help them out. This division that's happened between us caused many people to be in the situation that they're
most
at.
households are 50-50. They're closer to 50-50
Not
today. So that has nothing to do with feminism.
Not
Feminism
necessarily.
didn't just like convince women because they're too stupid to think for
Feminism
themselves.
was one of the worst things that happened in America because it pinned men
Wait.
against women.
Do you think that women are so stupid that they've
No, I
been
don't.
brainwashed? Okay, so you don't think that they've just fallen into this feminist propaganda? You don't think
No.
they're idiots?
No, I don't
You
think that. But I do think people can be manipulated
but they're
and
not
brainwashed.
stupid enough to do that because the majority
There
of people are
so
splitting
many, there are so
nearly
many
towards
people that bought
50-50.
into a philosophy that stole decades away from their lives, decades away from their lives, because they
what is
bought
this?
into an idea that didn't produce the results.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about capitalism is the best
So you're
economical
talking-
system
Okay,
that
wait.
provides the best results for people.
But we can't just jump back and forth between claim to claim to claim. So the claim about feminism brainwashing people into being single mothers, how
No,
does
no,
that
I
work?
didn't say. I said feminists originally brainwashed women to believe men are the enemy. That led to where we are today.
That
Last
has
week
led them to
report
being
came
single
in.
mothers?
Yes, in many cases because
Yeah.
they don't need men.
Do you have evidence for that? You really think a
100%.
single mother wants to be a
Abs-
single mother?
Absolutely, we
You
have
think
evidence of
you think
that.
the single mother
The-
making minimum wage down the road, like
you-
working for some
you-
grocery
due
store,
to the
having to take care of all
due
of her
to the
children,
amount of
is just like,
entitlement
I just don't need a man. I just want to be
what
independent.
percentage?
I'll live in abject poverty to
What
be
percentage
independent.
of the U.S. revenue that we get in you think we use for entitlement programs? What percentage?
I don't remember the exact
What do you think the
percentage,
number is? We bring in
but it's far
$4.9
less
trillion.
than what we do in private spending.
We bring $4.9 trillion in. Okay, the U.S. revenue comes in. What percentage do you think goes to entitlement programs?
I don't know. I
What
don't
do
know
you think is a
percentage.
reasonable number?
Well, what you're calling entitlement programs, I'm actually not sure what you mean by that.
I'm talking about Social Security. I'm talking
Okay,
about
so social
Section
welfare.
8. I'm talking about any of these.
It's much
What
less than other
percentage-
OECD countries.
What percentage do you think
I don't
it is?
remember the exact percentage, but
I
it's
want
much
you to
less than
guess.
other
What do you
OECD
think it
countries.
is? You think
we
it's
are
10%,
far behind.
20%, 30%? What do you think the number is?
No, but it's relatively low compared to
But
other
what
OECD
do you
countries.
think it is? Can you guess the
I
number?
don't remember the number off the
It's
top of my head. I've already said that.
68%. How much more entitlement?
68%. Can we
Six-
fact check that?
You can fact check.
What does the fact check say?
She knows nothing. It's like, why? Why did she even come up there? Why? Bleach
which
blonde hair.
I think
No, I'm saying bleach blonde hair and dumb. You're trying to make. She's trying to make a statement, and nothing that she says makes sense. Nothing.
I don't know if I agree with you, but keep going up. Expand.
No, I'm saying, what did she say that made sense?
Well, I think PBD kept doing like the spin thing, so he kept going to because that what is the initial claim? The
Please do so.
claim is
Please. 68%.
capitalism has lifted most people out of poverty, and
No.
like he kept going down like I personally wasn't really interested in doing like the feminism conversation. I ain't think that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's like the feminism is like, why?
But she didn't
you know,
introduce that. PBD, he introduced that part of the conversation.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that he did that, and she bit for it, and she got ate up so badly on it. You know, it was just sometimes, you know what I'm saying, a person come with their opinion on that, and she wasn't ready. She had no facts or nothing. I gotta check. I don't know if that's true, so and so, whatever. If you come to a debate, come debate ready. She shouldn't even gotten a chair. She should have just been a spectator.
Well, I think that they like that fact check was like I said. I'm not. I don't like. Let me see how I can frame this. Her point about. I'm trying to think of like how did he tie this into the main conversation, but like the whole poverty thing. It lifts people out of poverty. I can't remember how he tied it in, so I don't even want to make the point. Like, but
I'm good.
yeah. It's nonetheless it's been an interesting conversation.
You guessed the number.
I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I've already said that.
68%. How much more entitlement?
68%. Can we fact check that?
You can fact check that.
Okay.
Please do so.
Please.
68% goes to entitlement programs.
Of our federal budget?
No, of the revenue that comes in, 68%.
So the capita GDP.
Not GDP. You're confusing the two different things here. Actual tax revenue that we get.
Okay, so tax revenue.
68%
now
of it
we're
goes
specific.
towards entitlement programs. 68%. Thank you.
He popped here in the circle though. Welcome to the stream, Kofi. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, what's up? I just want to comment on the last person that was there.
Okay.
He doesn't answer any questions. He filibusters. Like the whole feminist thing. His whole point was saying that feminism is the reason why women and men are at odds with each other. This is a really stupid, retarded thing to say. The feminist movement only came about because Black people were fighting for their rights, and the civil rights was getting momentum, right? And women couldn't even vote. So they're like, wait, we got Black people here getting rights, and we can't even vote. So that's the reason for the feminist movement. The feminist movement is not what made white men and white women at odds with each other. So what the F is he talking about? Like most of the things he doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. And he doesn't answer questions. And he just says whatever and see what sticks, and he tries to throw them off their pedestal, and it's just nonsense. That's what I wanted to say.
Gotcha. Yeah, I push play. Let's see where we land at.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Grace?
Yes, Grace.
Good to meet
Hi. I want to say that I think it's pretty comical that an elite such as yourself has the goal to tell us average Americans who's in poverty and who's not. A lot of times,
I was an average American.
You're not
I was
anymore.
a guy that was in poverty.
You're not anymore.
And you can also
you're
change. You can also change.
Anyways,
Do you believe
you're
you can
talking
change?
down. A lot of times that the market for poverty is actually very low. So a lot of times like $2 a day is the line for how they measure poverty.
$2.15, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. So if I make $5 a day, I'm not in poverty. I can actually live. I can pay the rent.
Sure.
But we're talking about this country, right? We're not talking about around the world. I've noticed that you like to do that. You like to skirt from America and talk about other countries to try to make it look like we're better, but we're actually getting worse.
America's the greatest country in the world.
Anyways, it's the greatest country.
Hands down, it's not
we
even
are at the
close.
highest that we've ever been with homelessness since we started collecting
Why
data.
is that? Ask you. Are you from
because
California?
we haven't had a pay
Are you
raise
from
since
California?
2009.
Do you live
Our
here?
minimum wage nationally is $7.25.
Okay.
And you wonder why we have the highest poverty rate. You think that capitalism's winning? Can you survive? Would you like to live off $7.25
I used
an
to
hour?
work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I
and that
went
was
and
a
worked
very
at
different time.
Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make
Then
now?
I make millions today. Then
Right,
I
and
worked
that's
at
why
Bob's
you like
Big Boy.
capitalism, because we're not
No,
all
but-
making
but
that.
the- but
And
the
that's my
difference
point.
is- but
A
the difference
millionaire is
between
critiquing
the-
people in
no, the
poverty and
difference-
saying
my
you should
hope-
work harder. You should work. You
My
can be
hope-
lean.
my
We can't
hope-
all be it.
My hope is that you believe you can change and improve. That you believe you can upgrade.
Can you pause for a
yourself. That's
second?
my
It's
belief.
very. And you know what? That's what rich people like.
I just want to say, understand on PDD's point of view, aim for the stars and see where you land. But one thing he's not getting, not everyone can be the captain of the ship. Someone has to scrub the latrines.
No matter what.
So,
yeah, that's my general view on it. Is that
so when he looks at people scrubbing the latrines, saying, "Well,
that's the
only
trick of
reason
the
why you
American
scrubbing-
dream. Is that everybody
the only
can do it, but everybody won't do it.
Yeah,
but my thing is,
everybody's not able to do it. That's the better way.
Yeah,
Kofi,
But his
you're
whole
exactly
thing is
right.
like, his whole thing is like, because you're scrubbing the latrines and you're sweeping it because you have no ambition or motivation, which is wrong.
No, yeah, that is wrong. And and it wasn't with me. With me stating what I'm saying, it has nothing to do with any of that. The thing is that the problem is that we live in a world that is, capitalistic. But why would you want to try to live like this person living, and you're not there yet? Get there, or try to get there. If you can't, at least live it the best you can. That's all I ask everybody. Do the best you can do. You know what I'm saying? And everybody isn't gonna make it, but you're gonna be the best you can be. Stop worrying about, you know what I'm saying? Why are you gonna spend, you gonna go and grab into your 401k and take a
I
trip to
don't think that
Paris?
most people have 401ks to even grab into. I think that like that's more so the notion is that let me see how I can frame it. A lot
No,
of
but I'm saying that do have it. Why would you grab into your 401k to take a trip to Paris?
right, but
Right?
I think that
I
that
wanna-
doesn't speak to like the majority. Like if you're doing that as a person, that's just bad financial management. But you're also still above what the average person is doing. Like to be able to go
Okay.
on
I
a,
got,
on a
I'm
trip to
sorry.
Paris,
I apologize.
that's
I stand
like you're
corrected
still
on
doing
that.
that. You understand what I'm saying?
I stand corrected. I stand corrected on that.
Which like most people don't have savings and can't even afford a $400 hit. Like if something happens to them, and like that's more so, I guess, like the demo that I like when we're talking about the conversations. I think that those are people that we should put in the forefront because that actually represents so much more of America. Yeah,
But
go ahead.
I just feel like people, the problem is that people try to live above their means, you know, and some people are at their means. A lot of people, the majority probably are at their means. And I know I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, like I'm better than nobody or any of us are better than anybody, but you know what I'm saying, everyone that's on this panel right now, all of us has come from humble backgrounds. So we're here and we do what we doing, you know. It's just because, and we made what we made because we did it, and we're not at the elite, but we're doing the best we can do, and you know, it's everything is about financial literacy, and once they teach that at a young age, the world will be a lot better place. That's how I feel. Financial literacy.
Gotcha.
Am I wrong? I don't know. Kofi.
I think that we're gonna end up keeping the conversation going. I have disagreements, but I'm sure where we get to whatever the next stopping point is, we'll probably continue expanding on it.
You want to keep telling us
But
you can be just like me. Do you want to be like me? If you work hard enough,
I'm not
you can
saying
be like
that.
me. It's not very realistic.
It's actually you wouldn't be able to be like me because
And
you
you're
wouldn't work
talking
that
down to
hard.
people like
Would you
us.
work that hard?
You don't.
Would you,
I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to answer that.
If you
I
don't
don't
choose
have to measure my I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
You don't have to. Then you can't be upset for others who do so. You can't be upset
for people who are struggling.
No, because they work
and that's
harder
what's wrong
than
with
you.
capitalism. Because
But
you
go back
think
to the
that
homelessness.
You have to work so hard.
Do you live in the state of California?
I do.
Okay, you said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like him. I'm a progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
Do you know when he
takes corporate money?
Fantastic.
He takes money from people like
when
you.
He was,
he's not
I've never given him money. But do you know when he first became a governor?
Surprise, but
I would never give him money. But when he became a governor first, from then till today, he's raised the amount of homelessness in this state by 36,000 people.
Okay, you know, I don't like the guy, but he's not at fault for homelessness. People like you are, billionaires like you are the
gave him
problem.
24 billion. Taxpayers
I believe it.
gave
I don't
him
like
$24 billion, and he didn't do nothing with it.
Vote him out. Vote him out.
You vote him out. You have him. It's not that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to defend Newsom.
You can
but
go.
You're not much different than him. That's all I'm saying. You're in the same class.
But you're sitting here blaming a person who's changed their lives for the better, and it's their fault. My dad was.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David.
Do you know
this is the United States of America?
I know, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be here.
But are you willing to pay more taxes so that other people don't suffer? Are you willing to pay more taxes so other people don't suffer?
Can you pause it real quick? So I think her critique is a little bit unfair of him because he's not a politician. He's just a businessman, right? But I do think what she's saying is right. So you have like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is far more wealthy than him. Warren Buffett says, I don't need a tax break. I don't need a tax break. Why do I need a tax break? People like me or significantly rich as me or significantly lesser richer than me do not need a tax break. We should be giving more into it. And that's Warren Buffett, but he's selfless. So I just wanted to say that, you know what I'm saying?
All right. And I agree
No,
with that concept.
and that's what I'm saying. I agree with that as well. I do.
Yeah, the issue with capitalism is that, and where Trump and everybody kind of like leans into is this idea that with capitalism, generally speaking, if you don't give them tax breaks, they're going to be incentivized to move offshore where they can get the biggest profit margin. And that's the circle of capitalism.
But they do it anyway. Trump does it anyway. He admits to doing it. He does it anyway.
Look, Trump, that's why I use Trump as an example. Like, I'm saying that he does it. So we're in agreement here where like, this is what, like, this is the messaging that Trump speaks about because of, like, he exercises it and he wants to make sure that he gives these breaks to his friends at even more of a higher rate because of for him, the idea is that if we keep the only way to keep businesses here because we're capitalists is to give them tax breaks, because if not, capitalism is going to push them offshore to be able to exploit the labor of India or Taiwan or wherever, China or something like that. And
can I
go?
I'm sorry. Yeah. One of the worst things that happened to this nation was NAFTA. You know what I mean? Once, you know what I'm saying, you had that happen, all the jobs got pushed to one side to another, and the jobs got pushed towards foreign land. And what it was that it pushed the industries to have, they can, what they paid for their third shift for 5 days, they could do 7 days, 3 shifts, 24 hours. And it took money away from us. And that was something that was put up under us from, one party to another. I'm not going to say what party it was because I don't want to get into that, but it happens like that, and nobody ever thinks about things of that nature because once back in the mid to late 90s, when Charlotte area that we're in, it was a side of town that had jobs. You could, if you lose your job today, you get your job across the street tomorrow. But then NAFTA happened, and all those jobs got sent across seas, and it kind of hurt us, And with that happening, with that hurting us, it never got brought back. And they're trying to bring it back now, but they might be bringing it back the wrong way. Yes, they're bringing it back the wrong way. I can't say it's the wrong way to bring things back, but at least, what I'm saying, we need jobs here. And that's what hurt our economy within the last 30 years in this area alone. I can't speak for anywhere else, but I know that that's what happened. And I told people, I said, you cannot send jobs to these foreign countries and have these people doing this. And you're saying they're going to send jobs here when they are goat herders. We don't need goat herders here. We are people that do certain things. If that's what their top job is, and that's what happened. And the companies went there and they did that, and that held us down as economically. But him being a billionaire as he is, and him doing this, that, whatever, he stepped on people's throats and got to where he's at. He don't want to see that. He stepped on as many people's throats as he did. He's a piece of shit, and he's not going to admit it. But that's what they are. Once they get there, they become a piece of shit. And to get there, you have to be a piece of shit. That's just how I feel about it.
Gotcha.
My bad.
Gotcha. Oh no, you good, Unc. I think actually what's crazy is that we we 2.5 hours in, we made it 35 minutes. I think that probably right now would be a good time to put a pin in this one, and obviously we'll do a part 2 either tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Damn, Tuesday. I know I can't do it Wednesday, so yeah. Either tomorrow or Thursday, one of these 2 days. try and knock out a part 2 of the conversation. But yeah, nonetheless, we was able to chop it up on a lot of different points as it came down to capitalism, socialism, insurance industry. Shout out LTO hopped in here. Shout out Kofi, he hopped in for a quick second. Chuck is inside the chat going crazy for a little bit. Shout out everybody. This was the fun part 1 where I can definitely see that this is going to continue to lend to fun conversations. Oh shit, Andy brung Zena back up. I'm interested to see where it lands at. I hope the guy that went first comes back up again too. But with that said, any parting words? The birthday,
Look,
ain't your birthday no more. Ain't your birthday no more.
Well, it's after my birthday, but look, all I got to say is that get your money. Everybody gonna have a problem with you getting your money, and the further up you get with wealth, the more throats you're gonna have to step on. Sorry for the heads you got to step on or whatever, but if you want to get your money, you're gonna step on some heads. You're gonna be a piece of shit to people. You're gonna be considered this, that, whatever. But if you want generational wealth, you're gonna shit on a lot of people. And that's just what it is. And the further we get in life, the further you get older in life, the more you're gonna see with life. People love people, but people discuss people in discussions and disgusted by people because they don't want to do what they want to do. That's how life is.
Drop the OG gems to leave us off with. I feel like ain't too much else left to be said. Nonetheless, this has been QXQ, the reaction stream. He's pretty much pulled up with us the entire time. Shout out Unc, pulling up, having a really good conversation with us. Shout out to the chat. Shout out everybody that's tuned in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Over at the To Be Fair show, Wednesday we got Unpack 9:30. Saturdays, I think Real does the Who You Talking To show, 8:30. Sundays, 6 p.m. we have the To Be Fair show, and I pop in here and there on the XQ. You just got to subscribe and be ready for the notification. I'll pop in at any point in time, to be honest. Whenever the wife and kid get to sleep early enough, I try and I ain't got nothing else to do, and I got some time. I try and pop in and catch up on pop culture or different little videos that I haven't been able to watch yet. So like I said, make sure y'all hit the notification button so that y'all see next time an XQ is coming. I give y'all the schedule for everything else. With that said, this has been a fun episode. And we out. Peace.
Peace.